Welcome, everybody. If you haven't had a chance to sign up and you'd like to speak, please sign up front here.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
Welcome, everybody. I'd like to call to order the regular Board of Trustees meeting for August 11th, 2026. Will you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Karspeck.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Soricelli Albrecht.
Here.
Trustee Murphy.
Here.
Trustee Wing.
Here.
Trustee Grace.
Here.
Trustee Anderson.
Here.
Trustee Albrecht.
Here.
Excellent. Thank you. We have a full board tonight. Next is the approval of the meeting agenda. Trustees like to move to approve the tonight's agenda.
Move to approve the agenda.
May I make a request to just move one item up further up?
Which one would this be?
The ordinance for our committees. I think it would be beneficial to go through that before the end of the night, since
Is
there's some
there
really great changes in there.
anyone opposed to that?
So which one is it again?
Yeah,
I'm sorry. The which one?
It's the last one. It's the ordinance to change and consolidate all of the attendance and mission
Oh,
statements and everything for the committees.
I second.
And I just figured we could go through it first.
Certainly, no problem with that.
Everybody who's here and online.
Sure.
All right.
So where would you move that?
So we'll move number 7 up to number right after consent. All right. Is there a motion to approve tonight's meeting's agenda with the amendment that item 7 moves up to item 2?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All, any opposed? That carries unanimously. Next, we can move on to citizen participation. This is a chance for anyone in the audience tonight to speak to something that is not on tonight's agenda. Let's start off with Mark Sexton. And when you come to the front, if you could please just speak over here and to the podium. You'll see a green light at 3 minutes. When it hits yellow, you have 30 seconds left, and red means the 3 minutes is done. Thank you for coming tonight.
Okay to start?
You're good.
All right, let me start with a short story. A year ago, I was in Berthoud rehab, and I met a man, and I was able to be with him for about 6 months before he passed. So I was able to go to his funeral, and they gave me an option to buy flowers or buy a tree. So I said, I'm going to buy a tree for this guy. So I'm walking over here in Pickle Park, and I see your grid of how you have the trees laid out. But I see gaps. So my question is, would it be possible to set up a program with the Audubon Society where people could come and buy a tree in memory of someone and have it planted in the parks. And that would take the expense away from you and give people opportunity to do something for the community and have a place to go to remember someone. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Mr. Sexton. It's an excellent idea. Trustee Murphy here. Trustee Murphy here is on the tree committee. I don't know if Trustee Murphy, you wanted anything to.
Excuse me, sir.
Sir,
Wait.
come on back here. Come on back. They're gonna talk to you this time.
Oh, okay. I thought it was thrown out.
Here first.
Yes, go ahead, please.
My name is Sean Murphy. I'm a trustee. I serve as the tree committee liaison. This
Okay.
has been a discussion in the past, and I think you would be very welcome at our next tree advisory committee. We
Okay.
hold them on Monday, the third Monday of every month, right here. And I can give you my card right now, if you don't have my email address. Love to get in touch.
Okay. Yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity to work with you.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
for
Thank you
coming
for
out.
your time now.
Sarah Lincoln.
My name is Sarah Lincoln, and I can't stay for the meeting, so I'm just going to say something very brief now. If you have a choice between a bond and a COP, choose a bond. Let your constituents decide how you spend their money. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Going forward here, I know you have to leave, Mrs. Lincoln, but we'll have an agenda item or chance for those to speak specifically on that item tonight. Let's see here. Kathy and Bill O'Brien.
Hello. We're the people that live off of County Road 17 that got decimated in our backyard by a high-speed chase. I'm sure if this was up at TPC, it would be taken care of immediately. They came, towed the car ended up in the middle of our backyard, took a third of our tough shed off. Everything in the tough shed was like desecrated, and it's just a total mess. Our whole backyard. The car landed in the middle of the yard. They towed it at 1:30 in the morning. The fence is gone. Our neighbor who's trying to sell his house, almost his whole fence is gone, right off of Arapahoe. There was a car accident that this fella hit at that corner of Arapahoe and County Road 17. Then he spun around, went through the guy next door's yard, through our yard, took all the fences, and took our tough shed, the gazebo, and everything, and he landed up in the middle of our yard. Glasses all over, pieces of car, everything. And never heard a word from the town of Berthoud. In fact, I left that administrator a message on his email. Nothing was done. We're in our upper 70s and 80s, and my husband's trying to clean it up. I want that road back there, County Road 17. This is the second time someone has gone through our fence. Now there's a walkway. I had talked to the policeman. He says there needs to be put boulders there. They go too fast down that street. Cement trucks, those kids from high school, the people that are building houses down there. I want something done, and I wanted the speed limit down to 35 there. I am tired of this. This is the second time we have to put a fence in. And thank God it was 7:00 at night. Thank God there was no people walking or children playing on their walkway. So are you guys going to wake up? And they say, you're the only one who can make a difference. The police can't change the speed limit. And the one policeman says there needs to be boulders put there so they stop coming through your fence.
Thank you very much, Mrs. O'Brien.
I am really, just drive by and see the desecration of it.
Thank you. Thank you for your time and sincerely for coming in tonight. Administrator Kirk, do you have any initial thoughts on?
First off, I'm sorry that you must have sent an email to someone. I double checked my email. I'm not sure I have one from you. So let's get connected. I'm not sure I have a card with me. So Trustee Murphy beat me on that one. But let's connect and talk about your experience. I'm not sure I know the details well enough. I know about the accident. I heard about the accident. Typically, when there is private property damage done by private individuals, we don't come in and do the cleanup work, but that's something we can talk to you about and kind of work through with you.
Thank you.
It's like unbelievable. My husband and
Mrs. Bryan, I really appreciate your time, and this does need a further discussion. And definitely appreciate you guys coming in. Sincerely. Marcia Heineke.
Okay, my 3 minutes starts.
You can do that.
Okay. I live at 175 Red Cloud Avenue in Berthoud. I've been here a little over a year. I think there are 3 critical time-sensitive reasons the Berthoud Senior Center should be recreated, completed, purchased, rented soon. No more waiting 4 years to study, deliberate, procrastinate, etc. Number 1 is financial economic reasons, such as I have a Berthoud friend who goes to the Longmont Senior Center on Fridays for a free meal. She uses her gas, her vehicle, her time, her energy to go that far. I know another Berthoudite who goes to the Loveland Senior Center to play mahjong, ping pong, socialize. She uses her gas, her vehicle, her time, her energy to go. Oh, wait, that's me. Traveling outside of Berthoud lends to buying outside of Berthoud. Convenience, cheaper prices. Many seniors are on a fixed income. Those things are really important. Never underestimate the power of the purse. Power of the pension, power of the paycheck or direct deposit. I wonder how many Berthoud businesses would feel about the lack of loyalty or respect when it comes to seniors using their purchase power, since they're out of town anyway, utilizing other community senior centers. 4 years now of financial economic impact on the Berthoud senior population. Number two is safety reasons, such as seniors are driving to attend events, meals, presentations, socials, games, and dances. It's now called the Berthoud Johnstown Dance Group, held at the Johnstown Senior Center, which I have traveled to at night at my age. Dark is hard, late is hard. Seniors now driving when they used to walk, or heaven forbid, they might have to drive 2 miles or less in Berthoud. That's a lot to get to the Berthoud Senior Center. You can roll the dice. You can best hopes no senior driving accidents in the winter, the ice, the snow, the fog at night. You're actually fostering, allowing, encouraging senior drivers to use senior center facilities outside of Berthoud by not having a senior center here in the community. In the winter, we know Colorado weather changes quickly. A senior might go to a meeting at 2 p.m. and it's dark and bad weather by the time they need to drive home. Seniors on the road, well, you can hope for the best. 4 years now of safety impact on the Berthoud senior population. Number 3, loss of true community in the Berthoud senior population. Holly's the director at the Johnstown Senior Center, and I quote, she said, senior centers are of huge importance to the community. She shared she believes that when seniors do well, they're less likely to have health issues, social issues, nutrition issues, travel issues. Seniors are also more likely to volunteer in the community, participate in intergenerational activities in the community, purchase in the community, and be active in the community events. Not having a place to post flyers, brochures, legal information, updates on senior-specific information, insurance, and other services available to seniors is a tremendous loss when you don't have a place like a local senior center. I have several documents from Gina Samus, who has graciously emailed to me regarding a timeline on when and how the senior center was ejected, and also very good articles in the Birth paper. Contact her if you want to know what I'm reading and what I'm going to share with the Berthoud seniors in the newspaper. I'm aware that the Berthoud seniors are divided in this community. No surprise, they don't have a sense of community. Some, I believe, think that something is not good enough unless the new Berthoud Senior Center has all the bells and whistles. I think my opinion is something is better than nothing. Get a place, soon renovate, secure, do it. A senior center is needed sooner rather than another year, or heaven forbid 4 years. Some of us won't be around to see it.
Thank you very much. Finally tonight, Kathy Medina.
Oh, my purse?
Is there a Kathy Medina? Kathy Medina?
Oh, I'm not speaking.
Okay, well, thank you. Just it says in support. Okay, thank you very much. All right, and that will include citizen participation. Thank you for everyone who speaks up tonight. Next, we'll move on to consent. Would trustees like anything removed from consent?
The meeting minutes from July 14th, please.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Is there a motion to approve consent minus the July meeting minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I'll second.
All right. A motion by Trustee Wing, seconded by Trustee Anderson. Clerk, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Grace,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Soricelli Albrecht,
Yes.
Trustee Wing,
Yes.
Trustee Albrecht,
Yes.
Trustee Murphy,
Yes.
Trustee Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor Karspeck.
Yes. Okay. And with the meeting minutes, Trustee Anderson.
Just one change, and I'm not sure quite how to word it. If clerk could do in the minutes under number 2, it's an appointment of member to planning commission. I think we need to revise the language to reflect that we postponed the recommendation of any appointment because we learned that there was a second opening on the plan commission that was happening soon, and that we wanted to just go ahead and do what we need to do, which would be then advertise that one as well, and then to ask a subcommittee to look at both positions and then do those recommendations for appointment at that time. Try to make things a bit more efficient.
That's my recollection of it. I guess it was different, huh? Wasn't it in there that way?
It doesn't really read that way.
Okay. So really, it was just to postpone the interview.
Yes, because we know we were going to have 2. So
I'm supportive of that revision.
Yeah, I am as well. I think that was a recollection of the meeting. Okay. Is there a motion to approve item, the July meeting minutes with the Trustee Anderson's recommendations?
So moved.
second.
All right. Trustee Wing has moved. Mayor Pro Tem has seconded. Clerk, can we have a roll call vote on July 11th meeting minutes?
Trustee Murphy,
Yes.
Trustee Wing,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Soricelli Albrecht,
Yes.
Trustee Anderson,
Yes.
Trustee Albrecht,
Yes.
Trustee Grace,
Yes.
Mayor Karspeck.
Yes. Excellent. Thank you. July meeting minutes have been approved. As the board has decided, we'll move up so now we're going to go on to the adoption of the new municipal code section 4.9 regarding boards and commissions. Clerk Zamora.
Thank you, Mayor Karspeck. The next item on the agenda is an ordinance that would create a new section 4.9 in the municipal code regarding boards and commissions. I'll go over kind of a brief summary here of what this ordinance accomplishes. So looking kind of more broad picture, with advisory boards, commissions, and committees, they provide a community perspective and allow a kind of a different means of public participation than what you would see, say, from here at the podium here in this room. It allows the public to participate more directly and kind of be that change in the community, as well as provide subject-specific expertise on the various boards and commissions. And those boards and commissions also provide recommendations to the Board of Trustees on the various projects that they work on. Right now, the governance requirements for those committees are spread across 6 different ordinances and resolutions. So it's really 3 ordinances and 3 resolutions. What this ordinance does is consolidate all of those provisions into one section that would also be incorporated into the municipal code. Currently, none of those provisions are in the municipal code, but they are in standalone ordinances and resolutions. So this also offers another level of transparency for the public so that it's more easily accessible. It also creates a framework that is more simple, practical, consistent, and easier to administer, both at the committee level, board level, as well as the staff level. The core roles and responsibilities for the committees, commissions, and boards would remain unchanged with the adoption of this ordinance. The ordinance establishes consistent provisions for appointments and terms to the various committees, how vacancies are handled, how meetings and officers are ran as well as appointed, the board liaisons, and the board liaisons are the liaisons that also sit on the Board of Trustees, annual reporting, and bylaws. This ordinance also incorporates statutory requirements for the Planning Commission, as well as the Historic Preservation Advisory Committee in Chapter 30. Now, that change in Chapter 30, for clarification, It exists already, however, it does reference the ordinances and resolutions that would be repealed. And so this change in Chapter 30 updates that to reference the correct section. These Chapter 30 modifications were presented and accepted by the Planning Commission on July 9th. As well, this ordinance creates a new Public Art Advisory Committee. So the board may recall, and Director Johnson may correct me, I believe there was an RFP that went out for a public art master plan, and that is tentatively scheduled to come back before the Board of Trustees the first meeting in September. This ordinance creates the committee for the Public Art Commission. I do want to note that there will be a separate recruitment process for the Public Art Committee outside of the regular annual recruitment. I think it's important that that has a little bit more exposure being a new committee, and it really is something exciting for the community to serve on. The other key change that this ordinance makes is the attendance policy. The current resolution indicates that if a committee member misses 3 meetings within a 12-month period or 3 consecutive meetings, that they are removed from the committee. And it does not allow much leeway for extenuating circumstances. The new ordinance allows for 3 unexcused absences per 3-month period. Now the key there is unexcused. So if there is an absence that is excused, they've notified the committee ahead of time, that would not count toward that committee member. And that will help to keep our members on the committees as well as promote that public participation. I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Questions?
I have some questions.
Trustee Anderson, go ahead.
First, let me applaud you on doing this consolidation. I think it was well needed, and I think it really does simplify things, makes it a lot easier to read, particularly for the public who might be interested in one of these committees or task force. So thank you for doing that, because I think it was probably time to do that.
Certainly.
But my question is, how does this scheme accommodate like staggering terms? How would that, so that you don't turn everyone over at the same time?
Sure. So the ordinance provides that the terms are staggered. Each of the committee members, as they are now, would be appointed for a term of 2 years. And because they're staggered, you would never have more than 4 committee members with an expiring term in 1 year. So for example, you would have 4 expiring 1 year, and then the following year, the other 3.
Okay.
And then it would alternate back and forth. Now, on that same topic, if there's a vacancy, that vacancy would be filled for the remainder of the term so that it maintains the staggering in that particular seat.
That makes sense. And then you'd have to kind of slowly kind of integrate that with existing members now, right?
Yes. So on the boards and commissions, luckily all of them are already staggered consistently except for Planning Commission. And as those Planning Commission appointments are made, they will be made in such a manner that the staggering is consistent with the ordinance as well as the other committees.
That was the one I was concerned about. So
Yes, most definitely.
Would it be possible, this is just conjecturing here, but would it be possible to synchronize this with when people graduate from our new Citizens Academy, so that somehow synchronize, when the appointments are in, instead of September, later, nearer the graduation time of the people from the academy? Because just in my experience, for having gone through a town academy several years ago where I used to live, many people, once they've gone through the academy, want to be on a board or a commission. So what you'd be making them do is wait almost 10 months from the time of graduation
To be able to
to be able to
reapply.
even apply for it.
That's actually a very good point. A solution for that perhaps is in 2027, we could look at the possibility of maybe having Citizens Academy earlier in the year, as that would likely be a lot easier to accomplish than adjusting all of the terms on the existing committees and the currently appointed members. So that could be another possibility to look at as well.
Just wanted to make sure they had some type of synchronization, so.
Oh, most definitely. And with the Citizens Academy, that will very likely be another avenue to build up interest on these various volunteer committees.
Great, thank you. I noticed on page 2 of the ordinance in number 5, should we refer to unexcused absences from what you said? I think it just says absences, I think. Yeah, it says,
Certainly.
or
let me
when the
take a
member
look.
has been absent from 3 regular meetings within a 3-month, I think you need to say, or when a member has had 3 unexcused absences from regular meetings or something like that. Just want to make sure we're consistent.
Certainly. One moment, please.
So it'd be on it's page 2, number 5. That last kind of phrase. And
Gotcha.
we have something similar, like on page 4 under number 5.
Okay, yeah, we just make the adjustment to 3 unexcused regular meetings.
Yeah,
on absences.
excuse. And then the only other thing would
Certainly.
be, do we want to say within? You said meetings, 3 regular meetings within a 3-year period. Okay, that makes sense to me. Yeah, so we just change it to unexcused.
Yes, we can certainly make that correction so that 5 on page 2 is consistent with the other provisions within the ordinance.
And page 4, number 5, both of those. Just don't want someone to get confused and say, well, wait a minute.
Certainly, yes. We'll ensure it's all consistent throughout. Thank you for that.
Sure. That's it.
Okay, any other questions for staff?
We have a question.
Yeah.
I'd like to echo Trustee Anderson's comments. I really appreciate this, Clerk Samara. My question revolves around the establishment of a public arts advisory committee. Maybe refresh my memory. When did the board make a motion to create this committee? I don't seem to recall that.
This committee has not yet been created.
Okay.
Director Johnson, can you refresh my memory as to when that RFP went out?
Sure. So the RFP for a public arts master plan went out last fall, and Ton Hillenbrand, planning manager, has been spearheading this program. The final document is going to come to you all in September, and a recommendation in that document will be to do what Clerk Samora is doing right now and form a committee. Now, you all can decide not to have the committee, however, the framework is in the code to allow the formation of that committee and bringing it to you all once instead of portions of it now and then portions of it later.
Okay. Thank you. That clarifies things.
Yeah, I do remember that being brought up in the past too, of a desire to have that committee. So, other questions? This being an ordinance, I do want to open it up to the public just in case. Anyone in the audience that wishes to speak to this? Seeing none, I'll close it, bring it back to the board. All pretty satisfied with this?
Very good.
Looks great.
I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, thanks for the work.
Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Christian, for spending the time to organize it all and revise it.
Certainly, thank you.
Yeah, Trustee Murphy.
Maybe I'll be the one to slow things down on this. Just in some of my recent interviews with new committee members, along with some of the emails I've seen from the port committee just recently in the past few days, and in my discussions with tree committee, I have concerns about advancing this right now. At least from my perspective, I guess I'd like to see a little bit more consistency in the language between all 4 committees that are established. Or I guess I'm correct. Yeah. How many right now? Space.
5, I believe.
5?
4 or 5.
Just if we could see a clarified version of the language, I guess maybe redlined to maybe just align the language a bit more than it is right now. I'd be interested.
Certainly. And just for my own benefit, what language specifically are you curious about clarifying?
I would say, we've got multiple bullet points under port committee, whereas tree advisory committee is somewhat condensed. You've got the new public art advisory committee, which the language is slightly different than some of the other committees and who's reported to on those things. I guess I'd just be interested in you guys taking a second look. But my bigger concern is I would really be interested in hearing from all of the committees on this new resolution and how they feel their roles are represented or being executed currently. I would be supportive of tabling this item until the new committees are seated and have a chance to look at this new resolution alongside the old ones and to kind of decide whether that's still fits the mold of what they ought to be doing or not. Which I would love to see followed up by a study session after that to align our committees on any adjustments to their missions or not. I know that's asking a lot, but
Okay, no, appreciate you speaking up.
sure.
Explain, yeah. Any thoughts on this, or if we can just vote on it? Mike, go ahead, Trustee Wayne.
Yeah, let's vote. I move to adopt ordinance 1388, an ordinance of the town of Berthoud amending chapter 4 of the Berthoud Municipal Code by the adoption of a new section 4.9 titled Boards and Commissions.
Now, is there a second?
I'll second, but I'd like to comment.
Yes, so, yeah, go ahead.
That I see value to what Trustee Murphy is saying. I think it is separate and that this is more the code language about how they operate, not necessarily the some of the intention behind what they're doing and how they do it as far as those logistics. So I think that part can still take place in meeting with committees, having that face-to-face and finding out how we can make those more beneficial. But I think this is more of the code language, just about functionality terms, absences, just cleaning that up. I feel like for me, it just gives me a little bit of peace knowing that we have this document consolidated and cleaned up. But I think we could continue with what you're asking in addition to. And maybe you can let me know if I'm way off base here, Christian, if we could do both of those things. But to me, they almost seem separate. So that's why I'm saying.
Yeah, and I'd echo the same thing, that we're repealing 3 other things, and this is certainly, and will need to be adjusted. But I think, in my opinion, this is headed in the right direction.
Is it one of those, could we preemptively ask to have that as an agenda item for October for all of the committees to?
That would be my preference, is once the new committees are seated in October, that their first meeting is to discuss the past ordinances and resolutions with the new update that's been corrected by you for tomorrow. And following each committee, it would be, I don't know, up to this board if we would like to do an additional study session for updated missions for each of the committees, or if that doesn't feel necessary, we could maybe just accept each committee's revisions if there are any. I see those both as options, but I really would like to hear from the committees. It's been several years since we've updated this. And I think it's important that we get it right and get it done once, I guess, rather than putting this off.
Okay. So I guess the way Mayor Pro Tem's, I mean, we could do both here. One could be passing this, and then under reports, we could bring that up to have this reviewed by the committees.
Mayor
if this is
Karsbeck,
passed. Please.
Trustee Murphy, Mayor Pro Tem Sally Albrecht. Perhaps another approach. So this ordinance does also allow for the creation of bylaws for each of the committees. So I wonder if perhaps instead of incorporating those mission statements and other things into the code, if perhaps that would be more appropriate in the bylaws for each of the committees to have their mission statements and other things of that nature.
I think the reason why that would be beneficial is those could change more easily than the code could change.
Youth
Yes, that is
Advisory
correct.
Commission has their own bylaws that they've been operating under already. So yeah.
So we can adopt these and still have opportunity for committees to add their bylaws. Thank you. That helped.
Certainly.
I do think it's important with what Trustee Murphy was saying about having a conversation with the committees about that. Bylaws are.
I guess maybe I would accept that with an amendment that all the committees will review this new ordinance upon passage in October. That'd be satisfactory.
Okay, we have a motion, and now there's an amended motion here to pass this with having a review by the committees.
Yes,
Yeah, okay. And then the individual bylaws be added. Is that
So-
correct?
that would be correct.
Yeah, so I believe Trustee Wing was the one who made the motion, so
correct.
we'd have to accept that amendment. Just
Do you accept, Trustee Young?
And the amendment is so they can review it.
That all committees would review this past ordinance in October
Okay.
and update bylaws according to the mission.
Okay, amended that all committees would review this document and then also have bylaws. Review the bylaws. Close enough?
If that works for you.
I'll second.
Okay, so now the little friendly amendment there, and it's been adjusted. So motion has been seconded. Clerk, can we have a roll call vote on this, please?
Trustee Wing,
Yes.
Trustee Grace,
Yes.
Trustee Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sorcelli Albrecht,
Yes.
Trustee Murphy,
Yes.
Trustee Albrecht,
Yes.
Mayor Karsbeck.
Yes, excellent. Ordinance 1388 has been passed, repealing the previous ordinances. We'll move on now to Berthoud Main Street Agreement. We'll have Administrator Kirk kick this off. Thank you, everyone in attendance tonight for this.
Thank you, Mayor Karsbeck. As you may recall, back in May, representatives from the Berthoud Main Street came to the town board and requested some funding and organizational support as they build an organization to support and strengthen downtown in partnership with the Division of Local Affairs at the state level. Excuse me. The Main Street program is a nationally recognized program. It's made up of nonprofit organizations all over the country, and it is administered here locally in Colorado through the Division of Local Affairs. The request at that time was the primary part of that request at the time was a 3-year agreement to help get them off the ground, to establish an executive director position, and to help fund initial activities like events and marketing and other things to benefit downtown and the business owners there and the community as a whole. That original request was $85,000. We've met with Main Street both because we're already more than halfway through the year, and also recognizing that as they get off the ground and as they adjust their business model, that maybe $85,000 is or is not the right number. What we've settled on is initial funding of $50,000, payable based on some deliverables that were outlined in the agreement in your packet. Future year funding would then be subject to an annual vote of the board and based on a request made by Main Street and an annual presentation and report that would be required in the agreement as well. If this agreement is approved, the cost associated with the agreement would be taken from the general fund, and the general fund is healthy and can support that financial request. Staff's recommendation tonight, after you have an opportunity to discuss, would be that you approve an agreement between the town of Berthoud and Berthoud Main Street, authorizing funding in an amount not to exceed $50,000 in calendar year 2026, and to appoint a liaison to represent the town as a non-voting ex officio member of the Berthoud Main Street Board.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Trustees, questions for staff?
I have a question.
Trustee, go ahead, Trustee Albrecht.
Can the town staff not handle the majority of the tasks that Main Street wants to take over?
I think there are a lot of things that Main Street does or that Main Street is proposing to do that we certainly could do with staff and maybe some additional staffing. So I think there's a choice between hiring additional town staffing or supplementing town staff and supporting Main Street. I think one of the benefits of Main Street is that they can leverage volunteers in a way that we can't, and donations and sponsorships. Oftentimes, folks are reluctant to volunteer for or sponsor things that the town does because we're taxpayer supported. And so nonprofits have the ability to leverage some of those resources. I'd say that's probably where the significant benefit lies, is kind of tapping into people who are passionate about that, people that are really focused on supporting downtown, want to help build the community in maybe a way that we can't. But in short answer to your question, yes, of course, we could do a lot of the things that is outlined in this agreement with town staff.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Administrator, but doesn't having this be this separate entity, that's a separate private entity, also because of the grants that are available, allow them to be able to submit for grants and be able to hopefully win some grants. So I think that's one difference, that we may not be able to do that. through that same mechanism.
There are grant sources that that you are more competitive for, or that you only qualify for with partners like this. So those may or may not be big dollar amounts. It depends on the nature of the grant and who that's from and what it's for, but they could be. And so, yes, I do think there maybe is an additional opportunity to tap into some potential grant resources.
What kind of metrics can we use to see if they're effective?
So there are a handful outlined. They are broad, but they're outlined towards the end of Exhibit B in the agreement. Things that they will track and provide reports to the town board would include measurables like the town funds that they expended, the category and the remaining balance of those funds. Where did they spend them? The non-town revenues that they've been able to gather, like sponsorships, grants, donations, and kind support. Tracking net new businesses or net new jobs or public-private partnerships and investments that might have occurred as a result of their work. Volunteer hours. So, are they able to leverage and bring lots of extra volunteers to support some of these things that we're doing in town? How many outreach activities, downtown, just the total number of businesses, property owners, organizations, residents they've engaged. There's a list there that I think, if they're able to deliver an annual report that identifies those things, I think you'll be able to see pretty clearly whether or not they're having an impact. It's a great question.
Other questions? Did staff take away anything from the last meeting regarding expanding boundaries?
I think that's a discussion that's probably worth having tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that there was, from our perspective, I think, there was a lot of talk about whether or not the boundary that they initially proposed with their request was something that the town board was willing to support, and whether or not you wanted that expanded. I think that the way it's written in the agreement, there's an expectation that they discuss expansion, but not necessarily boundaries. But are we going to expand programs? Are we going to expand boundaries? Are we going to expand the size of the board? But that's an annual conversation that they can kind of grow into over the years. I think that's probably the best way I could describe it. They may disagree, but I think that's generally how it's outlined here. So I think it's worth discussing tonight.
Okay. Other questions for staff? Please.
In the discussions with Berthoud Main Street, was the 90 days, did that feel like an achievable goal?
Are you talking about in terms of their initial deliverables?
Yes.
Yeah, I think they felt like a lot of that stuff they already have, and they could meet that timeline.
Okay.
They are fully supportive of and have reviewed this agreement.
Thank you.
Anything else right now before we open to the public? All right. This time we'll open it up to those that have signed up on the sheet tonight. And just a matter of decorum, it is tradition here that we may get passionate tonight. If you could please not applaud. I know it's very hard to, or boo. Hopefully there's no booing tonight. But just out of respect for everyone speaking, it's very tough to get up here and say. A lot easier being behind here than being up there. So appreciate y'all coming out. I will start out with Marlene Butis.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for allowing us to participate this evening. My name is Marlene Butis, resident and small business owner. I own Berthoud Pet Supply in the industrial zone on the other side of the railroad tracks. I'm here to say I don't think this group is ready for the $50,000 request. And I say they're not ready due to trust and optics issues with the group in of itself, not with the intent, not with the idea, not with any of that, but just there's some things that need to be tidied up. This is something I've already spoken to the group about in regards to optics being an issue. So this should be no surprise to them as well, because I am the person that will say, this is what I think, and I will say it to that person. I don't say it behind their backs. So here we go. Optics, group admittance. When I initially joined this group before, when it was called the Downtown Retail Merchant Collaborative, I believe it was, I was invited in. I was said, you want to join? You should come to these meetings. And I said, great. What was interesting to me is when I started questioning who was in the group and who was not in the group, it was icky. So when we had this beautiful Christmas, like event, which is so beautiful, and Kelly, I love that event. It's like my favorite. I went into Benny's to go to the bathroom and they were like, what's going on out there? And I'm like, how do you not know that literally 2 doors down is this huge festival thing and you weren't invited to participate? There's a huge difference between I have an open door policy, and we know this from HR, to say you can come join us if you want to versus I want you to join me. There's a huge difference in that feeling. And when I approached them, why isn't Benny's Tacos here? They said, well, we're really about retail merchants. Sadie Star is a bar and Rise is a bakery. That made no sense to me. So a lot of the questions that I asked them made no sense to me in terms of how they answered it. Past behavior is the best predictor of future performance. Okay. Let's talk about the Sunoco building. I know. I'm doing it. This is the same group that led the petition, which I appreciate because the taxpayers should decide how money is spent. Should they not do that now too? The Sunoco building would have gone to seniors, perhaps teens, to HNS, to the community. They killed downtown development and they told the community, sign this petition. You're not saying one way or the other how you feel about Sunoco. We're just wanting it to go to a vote. I knew it wasn't going to go to a vote. I knew HNS was going to pull out if they got the signatures. Either they knew that as well and they lied to the community to their faces, and it was just, they knew it, or maybe they didn't know that, the group that was doing the petition. And if they didn't do that, and they truly didn't know, then it was negligent. I don't want this group being the ones leading it. Give the money to Stephanie.
Thank you, Mrs. Butis. Ashley Mueller.
Hello, I'm a resident of Berthoud for the past 6 years, and I just want to give my side of the story for the downtown initiative. I'm in support of the effort to grow Berthoud Main Street into an official Colorado Main Street community because we've seen this program in action and up close. Before moving to Berthoud, my husband and I ran an advertising business that helped locally owned businesses and served in the historic Old Town Arvada Business Association. We also began coordinating festivals for Old Town Arvada. From these activities, we built deep relationships with the businesses, owners in the district. We heard about their challenges, needs, and exciting goals for the future. Old Town's designation as a Colorado Main Street community was critical in helping many of those small businesses achieve those visions. If you're not familiar with Old Town Arvada, it transformed from a sleepy, forgotten district into a vibrant area with a great mix of social hotspots, retail stores, and specialty services. This simply would not have been possible without the formal support from programs like Colorado Main Street. Today, Berthoud sees many of these same challenges Old Town once faced, making the best use of historic buildings while still preserving their history, improving the curb appeal of shops and sidewalks, and attracting new businesses while unlocking the most potential from the current ones. Oh, sorry. Let's see where I went here. Thanks. I can't find it. All right. Well, Main Street is the heart of Berthoud, and providing the resources necessary to grow and enhance our downtown will benefit not just those businesses, but the citizens, the surrounding businesses around Berthoud, and all of the exciting projects funded by local revenue. Please vote towards helping Berthoud Main Street continue to grow and thrive. Thank you.
Thank you. Whitney Way.
Thank you, trustees, for your direction back in May to draft the agreement before you tonight. I think this agreement is ultimately about how we invest in Berthoud, not just in the amenities we enjoy, but in the local economy that helps sustain them. For example, in the first half of this year, our town has already invested more than $700,000 in parks projects, and we continue to discuss significant community projects funded largely through sales tax revenues. Berthoud is investing heavily in creating great amenities. We also need to invest in the places and businesses that generate the economic activity that makes those investments possible. Is this organization perfect? No. Is everyone going to agree on every piece of this program? No. But this agreement provides a framework for moving the work forward. It includes town oversight and clear requirements tied to funding. By voting yes on this agreement, you clear the way for Berthoud to achieve official Colorado Main Street designation and participate in intensive strategic planning with Main Street consultants at no cost to the town. I also want to address the program boundary because I know that has been a concern. The boundary hasn't changed since we presented to you in May because we haven't had the strategic planning workshop yet. That process will establish priorities and direction for the organization, including reviewing the program area with Colorado Main Street's expertise. The current boundary establishes our initial program area, including where we begin collecting and reporting Main Street data. Would it be valuable to collect that data for all businesses in Berthoud? Absolutely. But that takes resources and capacity, and we just have to start somewhere. The historic downtown is our starting point, not a finish line, and the line on the map does not define our stakeholders. Strategic planning gives us the opportunity to evaluate the boundary, understand what makes sense for Berthoud, and build the capacity to grow from there. Supporting downtown doesn't mean choosing one area of town over another. A stronger downtown and local economy benefit all of Berthoud. And finally, I'd like to recognize the community members who came tonight. If you're here in support of the agreement between the town of Berthoud and Berthoud Main Street, would you please raise your hand? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Christine Torres?
Hello, Christine Torres, 3930 Arley Drive. Yeah, don't start my 3 minutes. Stop the 3 minutes.
Okay, we're good to go. Thank you.
Are we good? All right. So quickly, I was part of the Berthoud Main Street program a few years ago, but originally it was in 2018, almost 20 years ago. This has been on and off program. And the difference here is the town of Berthoud and it actually getting verified to be a true program. And into your question, Trustee Anderson, yes, that opens up a whole big ability to get more money with grants. But I'm going to go ahead and read what I have here. So Berthoud Main Street started a few years ago. I was on about 5 years ago, so I really learned in depth about it at that point. But originally it started in 2018 when we added the Bimson leaf motive to our streetlights, our sidewalks, and to it also added our benches. So with that, as stated by the Colorado Main Street program in this book, and if you were to look it up, the first and foremost thing that they value is partnership driven. So and this is directly from the book, no one individual or group can or should have to drive all the directives that are going to be enabled by the Main Street program. So what the partnership would include is obviously the businesses, the town, the nonprofits, and involved citizens like myself. I help with the Berthoud Main, our parade of lights and the tree lighting ceremony, which will be through the Main Street program. And to your question, yeah, it's a total burnout by citizens or the town staff. Like we've had obviously town employees turnover at our rec center. So now we have awesome Steve there, but there is an employee turnover and they'd have to learn it all. They don't need to learn it. I can teach them. The town no, please stay, Chris, but town admins come and go. Businesses come and go. Volunteers come and go and get burnt out and go. So this involves everybody. And it's meant to be collaborative in nature. With the Main Street hiring a director, that'll also give somebody an actual job, not somebody who first is their family, then their business, then the Main Street, and or however you put this in order of this program. The pillars of this will come together. And to Maureen, and I'm so sorry you feel so passionate against it, but I love you and I'll always support you and go to you. But there is accountability here where, first of all, the strategic planning workshop will allow for this to be increased in size. If the expansion of the parameters of this could be changed. So the fundamental agreement has to start somewhere. And right now, that's where our boundaries lie at this moment. It's a loose term, though, because that's where the data, as Whitney's talked about, is collected. But that does not mean you're not in the events. So at the Chocolate Walk, I know that we had Maureen at the Chocolate Walk this year. And then to just wrap it up, The Berthoud Historical Society also supports that. We're going to give a letter. I know we got to go, but please vote yes.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, everyone who's spoken. We'll bring it back to the board here for deliberation. We can, anyone want to speak up first? Thoughts, initial thoughts?
Yeah, I can take a comment on it. You know, it does seem like there's an opportunity to be more inclusive, and I don't know why the boundary got drawn exactly like it did. Maybe that was discussed later or in our past meeting. But I heard comment tonight that perhaps with a strategic workshop, we'll reevaluate the boundary and look at the other businesses to include those. And I'm wondering why the strategic workshop could not have happened prior to tonight's meeting so that we would know, yes, we could have included the printing shop and the Mexican restaurant and the pet care. I don't know why that didn't happen, but it does seem like we're omitting some key players in this whole decision, and I'm not exactly sure where the big stop is. Why that doesn't happen? That would be, I guess, a question as well.
Administrator Kirkham kind of brought it up initially there, but yeah, I guess this is what you're hitting on, is a discussion point tonight on we want to expand that, wait for this. It's totally up to the board. And I guess I'll take my takeaway from that last meeting was I guess personally thought we were gonna, or I had it, I guess maybe it's just my desire to expand it to term, which would be one more block. But that might have not have been a takeaway from the board. And I do understand you got to start somewhere. But I think in this initial push, it does not hurt to add one more block while we're figuring out this whole structure. It's going to be an extra lift. But if we keep telling people we'll get around to it, or the board will get around to it, Main Street board, for expansion, hold on. Wait could be never. So I think we could.
I think you make a great point. You said it doesn't hurt. So if it doesn't hurt, then why, there's something I'm missing on why we can't.
In the last meeting, the board said it was data collection, which add additional, I guess, tax data collection. Is that correct, Administrator?
I honestly don't recall.
That would be my own comment on it.
Okay. The boundary was proposed by the folks that are proposing to form this Main Street organization. It was not proposed by you or by the town. They are requesting funding from you, and I think this isn't a secret. I don't think anybody's going to be offended by this, but you have a significant amount of say in whether or not you choose to provide funding if you don't feel like the boundary is appropriate. So I think that's a decision that the board has to make. Is the current proposed boundary for Main Street sufficient in your mind to warrant funding from the town and from the town's taxpayers to help support both the organization and creation of the Berthoud Main Street program? And if it's not, then I think you have the right to say, we're not willing to provide funding unless we expand the boundary. I mean, that is a choice you get to make as the town board.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think for me, the reason for Turner would be to include Miss Beautis, and I'm sure there's people that'll follow outside that want to come in, and I hope the board expands to include more areas. But another reason, as we go west with this, when they want to expand west, that will include Berthoud Drug. Well, it would get us closer. I guess we'd have to go to Lake Avenue. But that would then include Berthoud Drug all the way to, blanking out the name, but Santiago's, the dentist office. It's all those future businesses that are over there on the west end. I'd be happy going to Lake, but if right now it's compromised, if there's any interest, I'd love to see it go to at least Turner. Those are just my thoughts.
I definitely am in favor of us deciding the boundary. And then if there's issues, we can come back year over year and discuss those. But I want to start off on the right foot where it's inclusive. And to me, I would go first all the way to 287 because that is going to build out. We do already have businesses at Gateway, and I want them to feel also part of the conversation. And I know that the boundary doesn't affect being a part or a member, so that's important to note. But I do think us stating as a board that this district is our focus on developing small business on this corridor, and we want it to be holistically connected and collaborative. I think that collaborative component is, I think, what is going to keep us together. And I think if we have that district go out, if there's an increase in data collection or work on the group, I would suggest that we find a role for staff to play in maybe some of those metrics collecting and alleviating that burden from them, because I don't want to increase the burden to our volunteers. I want to partner with them to make this successful. So if there is a component staff can play in helping collect data from those businesses on that corridor, or even if it's if we're sending out mailers, I don't really understand how we need to limit that or why, because it doesn't, I don't know what work is directly related to having that box drawn differently. So if there is direct work related to it, have staff pick up some of that for them. And that could come back to us even next year when it's represented, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, so if there's additional burden with this boundary expansion, staff would help.
Yes.
Right. Maybe I could jump in. I guess I feel slightly different. I think maybe we all agree on the desire for expansion to businesses that want to be included. That seemed to make sense along this business corridor. But we're real early in this relationship, and I would really like to see what Main Street can present to us. We've got 90 days to see what those deliverables look like. I don't know if tonight is maybe the best time to redraw those boundaries. If we're not satisfied in 90 days with what's been delivered, the board still executes full control over that funding, the remainder that's there, and any future funding. So I feel comfortable giving them a chance with the way the agreement is written.
Thank you. So, any other thoughts right now? Grace?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out everybody's, there's very valid points on both sides about expanding the boundary, about waiting to expand the boundary and, to get started. And so I don't have anything new to add from what Pro Tem Torselli said and what Trustee Murphy said. I do want to highlight too, just to the point of the whole 90-day piece of things. If it helps to feel better, I guess, about termination if needed, there is a pretty strong termination without clause where it cause without there you go. They can be terminated in 30 days without any kind of cause. So it's and it's on both sides for both Main Street and for the town. Maybe is it something where we can look at approving for the boundary right now, with then the caveat of within 90 days, 180 days, they come back with to be able to expand. Here's what we're going to need to do, kind of with the presumption of expanding, but to at least initially get this going so that they can have their strategic planning session. I feel like a lot of things are being held up at the moment because they haven't been able to do the strategic planning session because we don't have an agreement on board with them yet.
I was thinking,
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was thinking similarly, is there a way we can get them to be able to proceed? And with the idea that they can do their strategic planning, come back to us with some type of idea about the expansion at that point. Maybe we change this to only release the first 25,000 so we get that kind of report and we discuss the expansion. I mean, I think we don't want to, as you were saying, Trustee Grace, I don't think we want it to hold them back. I think they've got lots of things planned for this fall, and I don't want to see us holding them back from getting those things done. But at the same time, I too think we need to look at expanding this a bit, even if it's starting just at Turner. But I would like us to have some type of alternative here, and maybe the alternative is revising this so that we can disperse that 25,000. They can go ahead, and then they come back to us in a short time period with a report for expansion.
I think I'm frustrated. Not at anyone in particular. Just I thought I walked away from our last meeting thinking we directed staff in the group to change the boundary before it came back, and so I think that's where I'm trying to understand how we got here, and then also trying to figure out what we changed. And really, I want this group to have liberty to be movers and shakers downtown and create and drum up amazing revenue opportunities, but I want to, from the beginning, make sure that it's going to accomplish the goals of our entire community, not just a small segment, that it's going to accomplish the greater small business community. And I know that's not going to touch everybody if we expand it, but it's going to touch about 90% of our small business community downtown. And I would rather expand it now and for us to set that parameter and say this benefits a greater portion of our taxpayers than just these couple of blocks. And that way it kind of removes that stigma too of this just benefits a localized group. It's like, no, this from the get-go is for everybody. We want inclusive ideas, integration from different leadership, different stakeholders, not just businesses, nonprofits, and other people who go all the way through that corridor. So I think that to me is, if it was up to us, I think we should be setting that standard instead of being told what it should be to benefit, because it is taxpayers' dollars that we're thinking of for the entire community, not just within this presented map.
Do we have any sense for whether the group would be amenable to working with us on a boundary now? I just think there's some immediacy to this, and I would like to make sure that we work with them and then in an expedient manner so they can move forward with their plans for like this.
I agree.
If I could just remind the board of what our motion was, and I can reread it. I know it's a long one. Back from our meeting in May, I moved to direct town staff to create an agreement, formal resolution, and a memorandum of understanding encompassing the $85,000 request and intent for a 3-year funding plan, which with requirements to include a town liaison position and have an annual agenda item for a report containing financial expenditures and revenues, achievements and goals. Berthoud Main Street must also create a plan for expansion of the boundary, a mission statement, a plan for stakeholder engagement.
It didn't say a plan to increase the boundary, because that was what we voted yes on.
That's the improvements, the plan for expansion.
Oh, the date was that?
That would be the minutes from the May 12th.
So in our motion, can we add in there that it's expanded? Point blank. I mean, then they would have to work within that to get the funding. Okay.
But part of the motion would have to be then to amend the memorandum. They would have to agree to, correct? Because
I don't. Does the memorandum specifically call out the area?
it does, I think.
Okay, so then we can. Yeah.
Between sides, I guess that.
That refers to these.
We can just yeah. We want to belabor this. I think there's two thoughts here. We can just go down the line of motions here. One would to start off with the adjusted boundary, and I'll just kind of suggest, which is a compromise of yours and mine, but we go to 287 north to Turner, south to Welch, and east to the roundabout or First Street. If that motion goes, then that's it. If it fails, then we would come back with an adjustment of, Karen, you're talking about some kind of phasing of funding.
And then have them come back with a plan for expansion of that.
One comment follow up. I do the same. Was the payment intended to be a lump sum or made in payments? Do you know?
There are 3 steps for them to qualify for payment. Let me pull them back up.
That's
here.
okay. That answered my question. That's good.
25 now, 15 on deliverables, and 10 on
Okay. Yeah, great.
Yep. Thank you, Trustee Murphy.
Yeah.
Technically, are you allowed to do motions? Because you seem to know the verbiage of the amended motion.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll just say there. Is there? If you agree with this, you can just say so moved. Is there a motion to approve? I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong page here.
We also, Mayor Carlsbeck,
Yes.
have the discussion of the liaison position.
Yeah, we'd have. Do you mind if we do that separate?
Separate that out of the
Or do you want to do that now?
I have a question about that when we get to it.
Okay, let's separate it. I don't.
I
Yeah,
think-
one doesn't
I
really
think
hinge
so.
on the other.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Sorry, guys, I'm cut. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the agreement between the town of Berthoud and the Berthoud Main Street to authorize funding in the amount not to exceed exceed $50,000 for the calendar year 2026. And with the boundary adjustment going north to Turner Avenue, south to Welch, east boundary would be First Street, and western boundary Highway 287.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Trustee Wing, seconded by the Mayor Pro Tem. Clerk, can we have a roll call vote on this?
Mayor Pro Tem Sorcelli Albrecht,
Yes.
Trustee Albrecht,
Yes.
Trustee Murphy,
No.
Trustee Wing,
Yes.
Trustee Anderson,
Pass.
Trustee Grace,
Yes.
Mayor Karsbeck.
Yes. All right. The motion has been approved with the adjustment.
I passed, but I didn't say I didn't want to vote.
Was that like an abstention maybe? or
No.
Was that a yes?
That was I was going to vote yes.
Okay, so that was a yes. It passed.
Wait, could you clarify? I'm confused.
Thinking about something I
She was meaning
didn't-
yes
I didn't
when
realize
on
you
the
could
motion.
pass. Yeah, but
You can-
you,
yeah.
you can pass someone else to vote first.
Oh, okay.
That's
Oh, I didn't know that.
So it's
Oh.
semantic.
So-
She was
Gotcha.
saying pass
I
it.
was-
Is that?
I
I'll
was
vote
thinking,
after.
thinking about something and adding it up in my head.
Okay.
So,
So if we could amend that record, clerk, to
The record will reflect a yes vote.
Thank you. All right, that includes the Berthoud Main Street Agreement. Thank you all for coming in tonight. Oh no, we have a second part of this. I'm sorry. A whole nother motion here. And this would be the liaison to the Main Street. This, I guess, it doesn't have to be done tonight, but I guess we probably want to do it at the same time. Is there any interest right off the bat?
You're allowed to be a liaison for more than one.
but I have a question.
Get it?
Is this a liaison from the board or a liaison from staff?
This would be a board liaison.
The agreement doesn't specify. It just
Oh.
says that the town board will appoint a liaison. So
Mm.
that will serve as an ex officio non-voting member of the Main Street Board.
Would it make
so
sense-
that could be staff or the town board.
Does someone come out of the business planning area of the staff? I mean, it
Both
seems like that,
are appropriate.
or both.
A staff member and a board member.
Okay, and for the Main Street, yeah, it's non-voting, so it won't affect their votes at all.
Staff will continue to support and participate with Main Street, so it may make sense to have a town board member who's appointed as a liaison. Sorry, I don't know why that word was hard to get out.
Would Brian specifically be your
Brian
candidate?
and or Stephanie. Yep.
Yeah, great.
Okay. So from the staff, the board standpoint, sounds like there's interest among us to have someone on there, non-voting ex officio. Is there any interest? Trustee Grace, any other interest? Okay, stick with that for now. And we can do this on, this has to be a 3-year thing. Maybe we can use it on a 1-year or 2-year term.
That's a good idea.
Okay, just in case to see how it works. Great, okay, is there a motion to approve the liaison, Trustee Grace as a liaison to represent the town as a non-voting ex officio member of the Berthoud Main Street Board?
So
You-
moved.
Do you want to include staff in that motion, or we don't need to?
Well, let's include, and so I'll amend that to say, and as a staff liaison, either Stephanie Horvis or Brian
Great.
DuBois.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, Trustee Wing has moved. Trustee Murphy has seconded. Clerk, can we have a roll call vote on that?
Trustee Anderson,
Yes.
Trustee Murphy,
Yes.
Trustee Albrecht,
Yes.
Trustee Grace,
Yes.
Trustee Wing,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sorcelli Albrecht,
Yes.
Mayor Karsbeck.
Yes. All right, now that concludes the Berthoud Main Street Agreement. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, staff, and those who came in tonight. Let's move on now to the Proposition 1, 2, 3 update. We have our Community Development Director, Ann Johnson, to present on that.
Hello, Mayor Karsbeck and members of the Town Board of Trustees. So what you're getting this evening is just an update on the past 3 years on Berthoud's participation in Proposition 123, the commitment, and then an ask for support to file a second 3-year commitment. So in 2022, Colorado voters approved the concept of, and then the state funded the Affordable Housing Fund, which is known as Proposition 123. And the objective is to provide funds to local communities and organizations and counties to increase the availability of affordable housing by 3% annually, or 9% for that first 3-year commitment. Now, Berthoud formalized their commitment in October of 2023. And our first baseline was to meet 20 per year. It was more like 19.3 per year. So it rounded up to 60 in a 3-year time period. or 59 in a 3-year time period. So there was no financial commitment to the town in order to participate. The benefit that the town received from participating is seen on page 2 of your packet. The town received nearly $200,000 in grants, and the match requirement for that was just under $36,000. So we did the housing diversity plan, we did the fast track program, we developed some fun animated short videos online that show people how to go through the land use engineering and building permit process. And then the town also was awarded, because we adopted the fast track program before December of 2025, the town was awarded a $50,000 no match grant. We didn't even have to apply for it. It was just a gift from the state. So there was a lot of work that was done on this program. And then in August, we were a little nervous though, because the benchmark was pretty high for Berthoud. And so the state, a lot of communities were having the same problem. And so the state gave us new parameters, a new calculator, so to speak, that was based on the number of bedrooms in a home and where do they fall within that affordability and attainability scale. And that calculator is in your packet as well, a print off of that calculator. So it's a sliding scale based on income up to 120% area median income, where that house is based on the number of bedrooms and the affordability scale. So because we got this sliding scale adjusted less than a year ago, Berthoud did stellar. We had 174 residences, or 21% of the homes that received a certificate of occupancy during just a little over 2 years in our commitment to Proposition 123. 29% of the residential building permits were attainable. 71% of the building permits are not attainable in Berthoud. However, we got to 174, which nearly tripled our commitment. And so we have put it out there with the state that we are happy to share some of our excess, because we only have to have 60. So now we're in the opportunity where we can enter into an intergovernmental agreement with another community and share our excess. So that's all great for the first 2.5 years, 3-year commitment period, right? Well, House Bill 1313 amended Proposition 123 in 2026. And now Berthoud, there's another calculator in your packet. Berthoud now will have to meet 88 units, which doesn't seem daunting when you consider what we did the first 3-year commitment. However, these new units all need to be deed restricted. And that is a difference, because our first commitment, we were able to get them from naturally occurring units, just what the market will accept. Now these units have to have a deed restriction on them. So again, there's a calculator in your packet. You see the AMI in your packet. So the state does offer an adjustment waiver. And the town has been talking to the state on this. And the town believes our adjustment waiver, because it's deed restricted, because we don't have a lot going on in that area, we would like to request 5 a year. And 5 a year is based on what we see in the pipeline for homes that would meet those requirements, as well as Ordinance 1355, which you all passed in 2025, which allowed up to 10 a year to have some fee waivers. And so we think about half of that number are going to be coming forth. Now, as part of an outcome to the housing diversity plan, we do have a loose group of individuals. It's just a housing consortium. It's not formal. We're just meeting with individuals that are in this arena for building homes that meet the affordability scale. And they've also indicated that if Ordinance 1355 would open up to them aside from just being a nonprofit agency, maybe they would consider doing deed restrictions on their homes. So that's something else that I'll bring to you a little bit later on this fall. However, I think that 5 a year would be stretching it for Berthoud based on our performance in the past with deed restricted housing. So again, by making a commitment to the next 3-year period, it doesn't cost the town anything to participate. We would have an opportunity for the town as well as individual builders and developers who wanted to access funds to access those funds. If we didn't meet our commitment, what would happen is we'd have to sit out 1 year in the third 3-year commitment round. So by saying, yes, we want to ascribe or commit to Proposition 123 for the second term, there's no penalty, and staff is asking you to support us making that commitment with the waiver of 5 a year. So with that, this concludes staff's presentation. I'm open to any questions that you may have.
Thank you.
I have a couple, Ann.
Sure.
So,
Trustee Anderson, please.
one would be, can you explain so that everyone understands what deed restriction means and what and how that works within home buying and selling?
Well, I'll describe it from what I understand. However, our attorney may be able to describe it better than me. It's placing a covenant, so to speak, on that home, indicating it can never exceed certain parameters in resale pricing.
Right.
They can have quite a few different covenants on them. They can be worded different ways and do different things.
For this particular, though, for Prop 123, does it have a special meeting?
It just means that house, for the term that we're in Prop 123, that house has to be deed restricted to remain attainable. And remember, there are different levels. We are not talking about low income, which is 40 to 60% area median income. We are talking about affordability and attainability, which is between 80 and 120% area median income. So for a family of 4 to be at 120%, you have to have an income of $156,000.
Doesn't Habitat have like a deed restriction, Karen, to some degree? You can't just turn it around, right? Same thing.
Yeah, there are organizations in town that do have deed restricted properties.
Yeah.
So being a part of this term, obviously we got grants in the first 3-year term. Being a part of this in the second term would allow us to receive or to submit for grants, just proposals for grants.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's just the same kind of a program approach.
Yep, it would be the same program approach depending upon, of course, state legislation appropriating funds.
Right. And the time period for submitting like a waiver, how long will they give us to do that? And second, how long does it take them to respond?
It will take about maximum of 30 days, what I've been told, to respond. And the commitment filing date is November 1st. So the reason why I'm bringing this to you early is I'd rather get our commitment and our proposal for the waiver in sooner, because if they come back and counteroffer, I'd like to be able to have time to discuss what that counteroffer may look like for the town. So that's why I'm pushing this forward.
Question.
Trustee Wing.
So just real quick, I'm just confused on something. It sounded like you said the state was expecting 88 and we're saying we can do 5. That seems light years away. Am I really missing something there?
So 88 under the old calculator, the first 3-year commitment calculator, would be fantastic. We knew we can do it because we proved ourselves that we could do it. However, the state changed the calculator, and now these naturally occurring homes, just whoever built and fell within that sliding scale, we no longer can have that. we would need to have 88 deed restricted homes in Berthoud in 3 years.
So again, we're saying we can have 5.
I'm saying that a year will even be a stretch for us.
So what do you think the probability that the state will accept our waiver or our adjustment?
I've been working with the state, and we've been talking about Berthoud's unique characteristics. We've been talking a lot about Ordinance 1355, so they have some background on our rationale. They have been open to receiving any kind of waiver from us.
Okay, good.
So,
and then the other thing is, again, it sounds like there's nothing to lose regardless.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, had staff considered separating this ordinance for the proposed 5 from 1355 as opposed to combining it? Seems like they're kind of 2 different things to us.
They are 2 different things, and we're not proposing any change to Ordinance 1355. 1355 is a wonderful vehicle that you all passed in order to help propel some of that that home building to happen in the town of Berthoud. It's just the lots that are in the pipeline are now just getting ready for construction. So there hasn't been a lot of activity, and I'm utilizing Ordinance 1355 as a rationale and the history behind how many have applied for the Ordinance 1355 versus how much we have in the pipeline that could apply. So I'm just using 1355 as a tool in order to get to the 5 a year, hopefully.
Okay, gotcha.
Where are these proposed homes? Where are you looking at?
Sure. So Harvest 47 is a subdivision. It's on the south side of State Highway 56 or Mountain Avenue, and it's tucked in. It's right by the old L&M landscape facility. Out on the east side of Berthoud. There are 29 lots. Out of those 29 lots, 9 were set aside for Habitat for Humanity. So Habitat for Humanity has applied for 1 building permit, and you all approved them going through Ordinance 1355 to waive some of their fees. And there are other homes, there are up to 9 that we could have there. However, the build out of those 9, it could take 5 years at the rate of speed that things are happening now. It could be 3 years. Then we have 2 other developments. One is in the land use planning stage now, and it's a little bit further west in Berthoud. It's tucked in that Vantage neighborhood. So that is on the north side of Mountain. It's, I'm sorry, I can't tell you the crossroads. It's tucked in the Vantage neighborhood. And then there is a third property that is not under contract yet or has not been purchased yet by a nonprofit organization, and it's at First and Bimson, or it's between First and Second and Bimson. There's an infill lot there that hasn't had any activity on it. So there's an opportunity there for maybe 10 to 16 units there as well. The Majestic View, that's the property that is in the Vantage area, has 11 lots. So by adding those all up, knowing where they are in the planning approval stages, knowing what we've got with Ordinance 1355, then I've done some deductive reasoning thinking, well, maybe we could stretch for 5, because some other for-profit builders have also indicated that if they had some more incentives, they could do deed restrictions on their properties. So it's talking with the builders. It's doing some guesstimating by what's in the pipeline, coming up with that stretch for us.
The board our last board staff worked together on the water. I think it was $250,000. Can we use that to waive Habitat's fees to help expedite some of this? Or did that not happen? Remind me.
So ordinance 1355, where it was up to, I believe, $500,000 to waive the $25,000 SFE per house, plus another $25,000 in fees. So for each house, they're getting a $50,000 waiver.
Is that coming from the? Remember when the board there's like some exploratory oil and gas money?
Oh, yeah, you can talk to Administrator Kirk
We
about
approved that, right? That's public. I hope I'm not saying that didn't happen. Yeah, we approved that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we could use that money for habitat, right? If this is, it falls under a deed restricted product. It is a separate conversation. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It is tied together, but yeah. Okay. Okay. Other questions? You mind if we open it up to the public, just in case there's anyone here that wants to speak to this portability? I'll bring it back to the board here. Y'all feel pretty good?
Actually, I'll speak.
Sure, please.
I have that property listed, Vincent, that she's referring to with the 15 units.
Christine Torres for the record.
I'm so sorry. Christine Torres, 3930. Okay. And I've had it listed for over a year, and prior to that, they had it listed. And it's a great property to, like, attainable housing because it's walkable. I mean, kids could ride their bikes to school. And this would really help not only the seller, which, whatever, I represent him, but I mean, not whatever, like, yeah, I represent him. But what I mean by that is, like, that was just so out of line. Okay. I am so sorry. What I'm most concerned with is attainable housing. We all know that is a huge problem for teachers. I just was at the Good Samaritan, and that lady cannot buy a buyer that I'm working with. She's worked there for 30 years, you guys. She's a nurse helping people who can't buy. It's really it's a travesty that teachers and nurses cannot afford housing. And I think this would help. And then it would help, like, that lot to be able to sell it and be able to build 15 units. So also to the question of deed restriction, it could be 55 and older. There's a million things you could add to deed restriction, but it does make it harder sometimes to sell. So, okay, that's it.
May I just ask a question? I don't want to speak to it.
Yes, if you come to the front, though.
I just want to know.
We have to just for the microphone.
I just want to know, what is deed restriction?
Okay.
So I just
Sure.
don't know.
Thank you, Marcia. That was Marcia Heineke. Thank you. I'll close it, bring it back to the board here. And if you get a gift, we already kind of covered deed restriction, but one more time.
Yeah, a deed restriction is putting a restriction on the property. So that could be a 55 and over community. It could be you have to have all xeric landscaping. It could be some kind of restriction on how you utilize that property. And again, our attorney can jump in as well.
So in this context, it's going to be something that either the income of the person has to match the AMI. And so they would go through a process of, their financials would be reviewed. Maybe it's a restriction where they have to be employed in the town. They have to, it has to be someone who's employed in the town. That's a common deed restriction, especially in mountain communities that you see. It can be a resale limitation on reselling the property. If it's a rental property, it can also have an AMI tag to it. And so it can take a lot of forms. So.
In Boulder, you can buy some affordable housing for $250,000. It's got a deed restriction. The property would sell on the market for $1.4 million. You can't buy it for $250,000 and then turn around and sell it for $1.4 million. That's what the deed restriction does there, and I think that's the primary context of a deed restriction. So you can't just turn a low-income housing around and make a big profit on it in a short period of time.
Fair enough. Okay. Yeah, Freddie. Any discussion on this? All feel pretty good.
Yep.
I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, it
Really
is.
great work. Really proud. Awesome work you guys staff did. Okay. Wow. Fantastic. Anyone go ahead.
I would make the motion if that's okay.
Absolutely.
I would move to commit to a second 3-year commitment and direct staff to file an adjustment waiver as provided in the staff report.
Second.
All right. Motion by Trustee Anderson, seconded by Trustee Wing. Clerk, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Wing?
Yes.
Trustee Grace?
Yes.
Trustee Anderson?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sorcelli Albrecht?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Albrecht?
Yes.
Mayor Karsbeck?
Yes. Excellent. We are working here. We'll move on now to the intergovernmental agreement for the Hick's Legacy Water Treatment Plant Engineering Services. We have our Director of Public Utilities, Ken Matthews, here to present.
Oh, no, you missed something.
There's a resolution number 4.
Just kidding, guys.
Sorry, I am not waiting until the end because you will not be happy
I
with
like
my
it, man.
incoherence.
Okay. Yes, please. Could someone?
Wait, there's a Oh.
Yes, but go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Mayor Karsbeck and
Thank
members
you
of
for
the Town Board of
interrupting.
Trustees very much.
It's a very good
So this is for Resolution 2619, and this is to support the town's application for a grant to update our comprehensive plan starting in 2027. Because of our participation in Proposition 123, we have the ability to apply for a local planning capacity grant to update our comprehensive plan. The maximum grant award is $250,000, and we are anticipating that our update, because we are expanding our scope for the update of this comprehensive plan a little bit, is going to be $500,000. So if we are successful in receiving this grant, then that will bring our budget down to $250,000 out of pocket. The expansion that we're looking at is doing a special focus area on that innovation district or the First Street corridor. It would be looking at housing. It would be looking at live work. It would be looking at how do we implement the strategic growth initiative that's in our comprehensive plan that you're going to be seeing in a few weeks. It's going to be taking a look at neighborhood centers and our pilot program participation with the state. So it's going to be looking at those focused areas for the First Street corridor to advance the redevelopment of that area along a little bit better. Looking at our long-term growth, that really is the next logical place that growth can happen. So working along with Ken and his team on all of the updates to the water and the sewer master plan, and Danny and Keith working on the stormwater master plan. How do we bring it all together in that corridor? A few years ago, we received quotes because we were thinking about doing this type of master planning for that corridor a little bit earlier. The timing was just never right. And so we do have actual quotes from a consultant. And I spoke to them because it was 2 years ago, what that multiplier should be based on their bids from 2 years ago. They let me know it's just about 10% higher. So we have, granted, we will go out to bid for this, but we do have some solid bids to go from, and then taking a look at bids from or comp plan updates from other communities. We did a clerk's listserv on that. So we did research on what was a solid estimate on what our costs will be. And with that,
Thank you.
that completes staff's presentation.
Questions on this?
None.
I kind of already opened it up. I think we're okay not opening it up to the public. It's okay.
Yep.
Okay. Bring it back here. Any final discussion? All right. Is there a motion to approve?
I would move to approve resolution 2026-19, a resolution of the town of Berthoud supporting an application to the Department of Local Affairs for a local planning capacity grant to update the Berthoud comprehensive plan.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Trustee Anderson has moved. Trustee Grace has seconded. Clerk, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Albrecht,
Yes.
Trustee Anderson,
Yes.
Trustee Grace,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sorcelli Albrecht,
Yes.
Trustee Murphy,
Yes.
Trustee Wing,
Yes.
Mayor Karsbeck.
Yes. All right. Passes unanimously.
Mayor Karsbeck.
Yes.
May I take a quick break?
Okay. Let's take a 5-minute break here.
Ann needs to go home and eat dinner now.
Mayor Pro Tem, you ready?
I was like, did you get coffee? It's
Emails.
My head was a pillow.
Sorry. All right. Thank you for the break. Ken blew you off twice, so thank you for sticking around here.
Thank you, Director Ken.
So we'll do the intergovernmental agreement for the Hick's Legacy Water Treatment Plant Engineering Services. And we have our Director of Public Utilities, Ken Matthews here.
Thank you, Mayor Carsbeck, Board. Last year, the presentation's not up on this computer. Probably it'd be all right if I just have you advance the slides for me. Anyway, last year I came to you with a similar agreement for this project, and it was for legal services as the group was putting together the mechanism on how to become an authority. So today it's an engineering, it's not an engineering agreement, but the phase of work is for consulting engineering. I thought it'd be a good idea maybe just take a step back, give a little refresher as to what the project is and how it's impacting Berthoud, why we're involved, et cetera, et cetera. Thanks, Christian. So what we're looking at is a group of water providers and municipalities that are getting together to study feasibility of building a regional water treatment plant in the vicinity of I-25 and Highway 56. What I have listed here are those communities that are involved right now. Here, the proposed plant site is, let's see here if I can do this. Anyway, here we are. No, that didn't work. Anyway, the proposed plant site is at that star that you can see on the screen. Highway 56 is just north of that. The reason why we're looking at that is we need ability to treat water out there. I've come to you before talking about this water court case that we had last year that we finally got won, and that's developing a water source on the South Platte River that's going to be conveyed to the west. Well, we need the ability to treat that. This may be a solution for that. We may end up building our own treatment plant out there, but this process provides us the ability to look at what could very well be the most effective and efficient way of doing that. One of the schools of thought is it's always more efficient for a group of people to come together and do the same thing. If each individual group is doing their own thing, there's a lot of repetition in infrastructure, a lot of repetition in administration and maintenance and operation, and hopefully there'll be efficiencies of scale. We'll see. It often doesn't work that way. So anyway, that's the water supply sources that you see on the screen here. That's the communities that we're talking about doing. The IGA that you're looking at is an agreement between us and the Central Well Water District, and it's and all the other communities that I had prior are signing an identical agreement, and that the agreement there is to pay Central Well Water for the consulting work that's going to be done. The consultant, who is Jacobs, is contracting directly with Central Weld. The cost of the consulting contract is $400,000. There's 8 of us participating in it. We're committing ourselves to $50,000. And so that's basically it in a nutshell. The timing of this work, it won't be completely wrapped up by the end of the first quarter of next year, but it'll be getting pretty close. They're at a point right now where they're working actually right now, because they have the contract executed with Central Weld, and we should have our first workshop at early next month and be looking at treatment plant alternatives at that time. I think that's it in a nutshell. Is there any questions?
Thank you. Trustees, any questions?
Is it budgeted?
It is, yes. It will. There's capacity in the Fund 21 professional services budget.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Murphy, was that a question? No. Okay, sorry. Any other questions from the board?
I do have a question.
Trustee Aronson.
And I apologize. I don't talk water speak very well, but trying to learn. But as I read through this, and I'm reading through I read through the task order and all of that. Is the real deliverable here that concept design report with a potential site plan?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so that's what, after everything's said and done, what you hope to have out of that, and is that going to help you then decide? It be a major factor in helping you decide whether we build our own treatment plant or whether we go in with these other groups to do that.
Yes and yes. And then so this is our kind of our first this tool we will use on whether to say we're in or we're out.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. If
Right,
this
and
will be the decision maker.
That's right. This will be the decision maker, and it's going to be the same thing for everyone. And it could be a little bit of an iterative process because as these type of projects go, if you've read the stuff on the NISP project, when people start bailing, then others have to pick up a larger chunk. That could be a deciding factor. So we feasibly could be, this looks good, the costs work out, let's go. 5 drop out, never mind. And we go in a different direction.
So I was looking on the map that you put up. Is that just kind of west or east, excuse me, of where the Turian development is supposed to be?
It is, yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure I understood where it was.
Yeah.
I was wondering on this map why 56 didn't continue all the way to Colorado Boulevard or County Road 17.
It doesn't go all the way through.
It does not.
But it
yeah.
does. In real life, it does.
It does. It does. There's a flaw with this map.
Okay.
No big.
Other questions?
So is it sorry, I just have one more.
Yeah,
I just thought of, so is part of what they're studying, what capacity that could have, and for us, will that mean also weighing what that might mean as far as being able to accommodate the Turian development Turian?
Yeah, the bigger factor, the thing that's making this complicated is all the various water sources and the various water quality in each of those sources. That's really going to be the nut that's going to have to be cracked. And then you add on that one more dimension, then that's the timing of when this water comes in. Some of it's, right up there in the spring. Some of it doesn't really activate until well into the summer. And that treatment plant needs to be flexible enough to treat all those various wide variety of water quality at all these various times.
Hopefully, if it works, it syncs with the development of Turian too.
Yeah. Well, you said hopefully a couple of times. In my mind, there's no hoping. We'll make absolutely sure that this before we commit to this, that this is going to satisfy these needs.
Other questions?
No, good.
Anyone in the audience wishes to speak, please raise your hand. Okay, seeing none, to the board. How are we all feeling? You want to speak? Great. All feeling pretty good?
Yeah.
All right. Who wants to move on it?
I will move to approve the intergovernmental agreement among Central Weld County Water District, the town of Berthoud, the city of Dacono, the town of Frederick, the town of Johnstown, the town of Milliken, Left Hand Water District, and Little Thompson Water District, and authorize the mayor to execute the agreement on behalf of the town.
Second. All right. Our mayor pro tem has moved. Trustee Wing has seconded. Clerk, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Grace,
Yes.
Trustee Murphy,
Yes.
Trustee Wing,
Yes.
Trustee Albrecht,
Yes.
Mayor pro tem Sorcelli Albrecht,
Yes.
Trustee Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor Karsbeck.
Yes. Excellent job. And then in your team as well. This is just fantastic.
Thank you.
Coming together. Thank you, Chris. Administrator Kirk, I should say. Okay. We're right along here to the Mountain Vista Park project financing options. So we have both a COP and bond here, and I'll turn it over to Chris Kirk, our town administrator, to present.
Thank you, Mayor Karsbeck and trustees. At the July 28th meeting, the board voted to direct staff to prepare the documents necessary to issue COPs for the construction of Mountain Vista Park, formerly known as Richardson. While you provided that direction, that same motion also included a request to provide information about the alternative possibility of a bond election in November of 2026. After speaking to Larimer and Weld counties and our bond counsel from QTAC Rock, there is still a possibility of initiating a bond election for November if that's the desire of the town board. That would require a special meeting to take place next week in advance of the study session that's already planned. So you already do have a meeting planned to review the town board's strategic plan. We would have a short special meeting that would allow you to approve intergovernmental agreements between the town and Larimer and Weld counties to coordinate the election in November. And then on August 25th, at your regular town board meeting, you would also have to approve the bond language that would go on the ballot. So it is a tight turnaround in order to make those things happen. The attorney at QTAC Rock thinks that that's possible, but we'll need the support of town staff and the town attorney to make that happen as well. That would place a ballot measure on the November ballot, asking the town voters whether or not they would support the issuance of bonds to support the construction of the project, giving them that choice. That decision to place this item on the ballot would likely push back the project 3 to 6 months, but not a substantial amount in the grand scheme of things. The difference in financing, an estimate was included in your packet. Bond financing typically carries a little bit lower interest rate than a COP, just because of the way that debt is structured, where a COP is a annual appropriation of the town board. You have some different legal obligations to make bond payments. That fraction of a percent, though, ends up to less than $20,000 annually. Again, a comparison was included in your packet and is shown on the screen from Clerk Samora. Thank you. So with that, we are looking to you for direction about whether or not we continue with your previous motion to prepare the documents necessary to issue COPs, or whether or not we pivot and move towards a bond election in order to support the construction of Mountain Vista Park.
Thank you, Administrator Kirk.
Yes, sir.
Questions, trustees?
I have a question.
Trustee Anderson, go ahead.
What would be the cost for an election? Typically, just from what I've seen, they usually doesn't the county usually charge us so much for the election?
For the coordinated elections, the cost is variable to an extent. It does depend on how many other jurisdictions are participating. In recent elections where we have participated with Larimer and Weld County, it has been around $30,000 or so.
Good question. Trustee Murphy.
So looking at this, the whole difference over the 30-year term is $462,000, correct?
Yep.
And 500. Say the board moves forward with the COP and citizens initiate a referendum. What would that do to our timeline?
I'm not even sure. I would speculate.
I don't think the issuance of COPs is legislative.
No.
And so there's no power of initiative for something that is not legislative.
You wouldn't have to go through ordinance?
Yes, but I don't know what your bond council would require, but that may be what they're requiring. But just because it goes through an ordinance doesn't mean it's a legislative action.
Didn't this happen with Greeley? I was just reading someone.
don't know.
Okay. Someone
Maybe.
did say then they said COP is not a, yeah. Like
Yeah, they're administrative.
I thought that was
I
interesting.
thought that was what it was too.
And I believe our bond council has recommended a resolution on an ordinance in order to initiate the COP process.
Other questions? All right. At this time, I'll open it up to the public. Anyone in the audience wish to speak tonight? Please come to the front. I don't know if we have any signed up, but if not, yeah. All right. Thank you. I'll start with Angie. Angie Rope.
Good evening. My name is Angie Ronke. I have lived in Berthoud for almost 20 years. I've seen growth happen. I love how the growth has happened in the town of Berthoud. I've also seen how the other small towns around us have continued to grow. I've raised my kids here. They go to Turner Middle School and Berthoud High School. They're in Scouts. We've done all the rec sports here. We've been in Youth Advisory Commission. We use the rec center. We use the bike park. I love the direction the town is going. But I have been disappointed about how slow Mountain Vista Park has been to come to fruition. I think it is really important to move forward with this project. I mean, I know there's been a lot of bobbing and weaving, but Mountain Vista, I think, is important to families and residents because they want to stay in town, as was talked about earlier by some other people tonight. I think it keeps our kids in sports in town. It helps our high school competitiveness. It keeps healthy, close activities to youth activities. It helps our businesses, as talked about, like Main Street tonight. I see how busy Hayes Market is and all the restaurants are just on normal park rec weekends and flag football. So it helps pull in business into our businesses. It helps support the town goal of being a destination for recreation. And I like to see it help fulfill promises that the town has made to replacing the outdoor pool and the ball fields. I hope the town can make a decision to move forward in a manner that can go with where the studies have done over and over again. I mean, the public has approved this project over and over again. We've raised the taxes, we've done surveys, we've done outreach, we've done stuff through the youth commissions. So I hope it moves forward in a faster means, because I've seen living here that when things go to the ballots, people vote them down. It's been the library, it's been Sunoco, it's been schools. So if there's a means to finance it when the town has already supported it, I urge the town to move forward in that direction.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I'm sorry I butchered your last name. I've known you for
I
a very,
know.
very long time.
Come on,
You
Will.
can slap. Yep.
That's all right. Thank you.
Joe, would you like to speak too? Excellent.
I am also here to.
Can I say your name?
Oh yeah, sorry. I'm Joe Ronke, live in Berthoud, my whole life. I'm here to implore the town to keep going with this project. I've been on the Berthoud Youth Advisory Commission for a few years, and I've seen this project come and go a few times, along with others. And while this is here and now, I wanted to move forward because while it was once upon a time said that I could probably use it while I was still here in Berthoud, I think that is, I don't want to say a long shot, but I want this to keep moving forward for our next generation because like you were talking about with the Greeley thing at Cascadia, they had ice rinks up there that were proposed. I'm a hockey player, and at the moment I have to drive a solid 45 minutes anyway to go play hockey. That would have moved it closer to 20 minutes, and I was really excited to see that, but with it going to the ballot, got struck down, like my mom said. So I implore you to move forward with this in the means that makes it come to us as fast as possible in a way that reflects the needs of the town, of the citizens from the, what is the word? Like, the poll that went out about what the town wants in their parks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Two signed up. All right. Thank you. Bring it back to the board here. We have a decision, 1 COP, 2 bond, or 3, I guess neither. Would anyone like to kick this off?
It just seems like we've had so many discussions on this and into the minutia and the micro detail, and I just wonder if we're to a point where we vote. I don't know what's left to hash out.
I agree.
On this.
Kind of influence one another. Go ahead.
I disagree.
Thank you.
Last time I
I respect your opinion, but I have a different one. Go ahead.
You can.
No, I'm just semantics.
Disagree with my opinion. That's totally fine.
It's just a boardroom semantics.
I have
Sure.
visualizations for everybody.
Please.
Because I really wanted to just go through this and make sure that I understand, and then collectively talk as a board about if we are okay with the financial position that taking on debt, either COP or bond, would put us in the next 5-10 years. So essentially what I did, take you on a little journey. This first page is our general fund, because we talk about the health of it. And so this is all using all of the budget information that has been available from the town. And Cindy sent me the most updated copy from when we had our discussion, and she printed out a copy. But I just wanted to show we've got our beginning funds, revenues, operating expenses, capital improvement, everything, the ending balance is showing. We're having a decrease year over year, just in general, kind of operating deficit. However, it's not like super impactful. The box underneath shows that additional $500,000 request that was made several meetings ago that we haven't quite approved. I think we've not quite approved yet. Anyway, that changes the adjusted beginning balance down. And so the numbers down in red show you what the adjusted ending balances approximately would look like. Now, keep in mind, the only financial information I've received is the revised budget book from the end of 2025. So I've not seen any mid-year changes. So if the beginning balances are different, I don't have that information. So I wanted to just kind of set up by looking at this, by the end of 2030, we're still looking at $5.1 million in the general fund. As long as we're still maintaining all the revenues that we're estimating for, everything looks fine, right? So the next page. And I'm highlighting funds 51 and 52 because those are both of the 1% sales tax that have been in discussion on paying for the COP. And so again, when I went through with the updated financials, Fund 51 by itself ends up staying healthy, which is awesome. There's not an additional ask to pull money out of that fund to put into Richardson from that spreadsheet, that adjustment spreadsheet that came out. And it shows that by the end of 2030, we have $2.6 million approximately in our Fund 51, which is the 1998 1% sales tax. Go to the next page. Here's where, and this is where I'm having my questions and where I would like to have discussion. Fund 52, which is our 2019 1% sales tax. This fund is like massive. It pays for a ton of stuff. So I've grouped everything together. Like recreation expenses are all grouped by program. So if you look at the budget book, it's just everything's rolled up to a summary level. It looks like that the aquatics, so number 5 aquatics, it looks like the expenses for the additional aquatic staff at Richardson has already been taken into account because there's such a jump in the expenses. So I made that assumption. You can also see in the debt service on the third line that it includes the transfer to Fund 60 for the Richardson payment for the COP, because that one's being split between 51 and 52. If you go all the way down to the ending fund balance of $3.3 million, that in and itself, looks really good and healthy from Fund 52. But what I found is that it hadn't taken into account, or at least not that I could find, that we are also.
Could you stop 1 second? Could you say where you just said, I see an adjusted ending of 356. Could you say where those numbers came from? You just said
adjusted of 350.
I'm trying to follow what you said just now.
So on the Fund 52 page, you
Yep.
can see box 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So in the box, like it's the 7th one down.
What's it called? The line?
Total outflows ending, and then the ending.
Total outflows?
Mhm.
Okay.
And then the ending fund balance. You'll notice it's kind of color coordinated. I was trying
Yeah,
to help
okay.
coordinate where I got all these numbers from.
So revenues are 6 million for and outflows 6 million for ish. And then we've got a adjusted beginning fund balance of negative 345, and that's what's driving your adjusted ending fund balance of negative 360. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, of negative 360.
When you have it in red, does that mean negative, or is that that's a color coding on it?
Oh, that was
In parentheses, yeah.
parentheses is negative.
Yeah,
I'm
so
sorry,
negative
you're right. That
360,
was
The
that's
point is, it's the bottom right far number is 359,000
Yes.
negative. That's just what you're saying, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So getting to that point, what I had found though is that in the budget book and in the forecasting, it hadn't taken into account the $2 million additional fund request that was going to go to Richardson, which, as Trustee Wing has pointed out, adjusts the ending fund balance from 3.3 million to 1.3.
Is that on this document somewhere? What you're talking about, the 2 million?
Yeah, it's on the additional fund request draw. The
Same
The
page?
third page that you have.
Oh, so now it's the third page?
So
Okay.
the third page shows you all of those requests.
Okay.
That was presented in like the end of July.
And where's the 2 million on here you're talking about?
The 2 million, so under the 2019 1%, 4.5 million is highlighted in yellow. If you go down to the legend straight underneath it, it says 2 million, and it said that the 2026 budget is 2.5 million. So there's an additional ask of 2 million to come from the 2019 1% sales tax fund to Richardson in the capital fund 60 account.
Okay.
So that's where that 2 million is coming from.
Got it.
So with the adjusted ending balance, our Fund 52 goes from looking really healthy in 2027 and 2028 to not looking really healthy, where it's appearing negative if none of the revenues change. You know, again, this is not accounting for if there's been additional changes to the budget book. And so, you know, in theory, I'm sure transfers can happen in between funds. There would have to be some sort of coverage for Fund 52. It covers all of our recreation expenses. It covers debt service payments. It covers things like the town splash pad, some maintenance and that sort of thing. And so I just want to get an understanding from the board that if we are to move forward with this, where it puts strain on Fund 52, which is one of the main funds that we're using to pay for this and for all of our recreation activities, we essentially are limiting then what our sales tax funds are able to go to, because we're kind of catching up and refilling the coffers from this additional draw and then from the new debt service payment. Now could revenues change in the next 5 years? Maybe. I mean, but it wasn't built into the budget book, so I'm just going based off of what the 5-year forecast looks like. And it's enough to, you know, take pause and say, you know, is that the financial position we want to be in, or essentially, you know, what future boards might be dealing with if we move forward with this.
Sure. Do you know where the budgeted expenses are year to date to the actual?
I mean,
I'll help you out. $17 million under budget on expenses year to date. How does that factor into this concern you have for the $300,000 shortfall?
So I've already mentioned that I've just used the information from the budget book.
Okay, but I'm just asking, that's our budget. We're 17 million better in expenses year to date than budgeted. I'm just wondering.
Across, like in Fund 52 across the
No,
board?
the whole thing. 17 million year to
Well,
date.
there are certain funds that aren't.
I'm just saying overall, you're talking about the financial stability of the town, and that's why I'm bringing it up.
And so the point here is that we could pull from.
Oh, jeez. We're in such great shape.
Hang on a second though. When you say that, it implies out of the 20 funds that we have available that we can pull from every single one of those.
I'm not implying anything. I'm talking about the financial stability of the town.
And I think the other side of this is some of those are tied. And
Oh,
you have a
yeah.
good
And
point.
some of those funds we can't pull from.
I think
And
both of these are right.
you know, and this is a snapshot and doesn't really get into how that applies across every single fund and how it's doing. I mean, I've done a lot of work to try and put my concern in numbers and in visuals. And I've been trying to get guidance. I just want to have this conversation because this, to me, doesn't feel like good stewards of our money for the citizens. I was finally able to get it, honed in after I had another change of information so that I could show you guys where my concern is. Sorry.
So at the last meeting, you had a meeting, I think, with the finance gal for the town, and I thought her numbers were not the same. Now, since that meeting, is she now agreeing with these numbers?
No, so the numbers that she sent me where it was showing the ending balances at 3.3 million for 2026 and 2 million in 2027. Those were still the same. And it hadn't taken into account the adjustment of the 2 million additional allocation ask. So there's some things that had been put into the forecast, like the COP payments, and also the I'm assuming the expenses, Administrator Kirk, for when I see the aquatics go from 700,000 up to 1.1 million, I made the assumption that included your projection for staff.
There were some projected increases in expenses. I think they're a little bit more refined now. So, as we talked about at the last meeting, I agreed to bring a comprehensive financial analysis to you at your next meeting as part of your mid-year budget adjustment to show you all of these numbers with updated detail from beginning fund balances, which are much higher than what we were originally projecting for the 2026 budget. It's one of the reasons why I suggested we could take more money from reserves, because we have more money in reserves than what we had originally planned. So I'm happy to go through all of that at the next meeting like I'd previously planned and we discussed at your last meeting. And I think I agree completely. If we were going into the negative, I would not recommend that we do this. I don't believe that we will. And I'm happy to show you why at your next meeting.
Okay. And thank you. Thank you. Go ahead.
Just a couple of figures too that I was researching, and I appreciate your desire for stewardship of and understanding how we're going to be in the future. I think you're totally on the right track. I think it's gonna be really helpful when we go through the budget process to see how it all works together and how much the town has been successful and the overages we have that we can allocate to this project and really reduce some of the concerns that you're having. I asked staff to confirm with me, but in 8 years, our budget has grown from 37 million to 150 million. That is the work of our town staff being extremely conservative in their spending and budgeting, being very frugal and very keen on investing those funds wisely. And so I really learned to lean on Cindy and staff to understand where these funds are going to come from and how we manage those in a way that brings investment back to the community and stewards those tax dollars really well, because they're doing a really great job of the stewardship part. And then I also did some calculations, and if I'm wrong, we can go back and correct, but the total amount we've spent on on open space and trails in the last couple of years has been in the $24 million range. So falling very closely to what we're going to be in debt service for this park. And it was very comfortably done, and we're still seeing a surplus. And so there's this element of stewardship of there is this large amount of funds set aside for recreation given to us by the taxpayers that we must utilize. It's not going to bring down the general fund as much as it will bring down those 1% sales tax buckets, which will be replenished because it's continually bringing in more funding. And obviously with economic crisis, that could, halt, but we're even in one now, and we're seeing kind of the top of a lot of that fund. So we have kind of this element of stewardship of if we don't spend it, we're actually wasting taxpayers' dollars by not investing it in some of the things they've asked us for specifically for recreation. And this is the only park that we have or only recreational amenity we have on our docket that actually can bring additional sales tax revenue to Berthoud, which would then refill this bucket again. Because the ball fields will be a revenue generator as well as a business downtown generator, it's going to multiply our revenues, and they estimated it in the $1 to $2 million range of of sales generation for our downtown on an annual basis, just from leagues coming in. So the reason why this one does stand out compared to some like the Arboretum or even Newell is the downtown impact it's going to have and replenish some of those buckets and be that investment factor for taxpayers.
What model did you use for income for the pool?
I didn't, whatever was already included in the
That was just an estimate that we put in back in November.
Does that mean like income, like the daily rate?
Yeah, it's supposed to be
like revenue generated from the facility.
Yeah, I thought this was positive net operating. Is it? Do you know?
We are projecting that it'll operate in a
the
net
black.
positive condition.
Yeah.
120%, I recall.
Okay. I'll just suggest, I don't know, there's a conversation here. I don't know how, I think some of us might be, set in our positions. There's nothing wrong with that. Is there, I'll just say, I think, I guess maybe my conversation piece there is it will tie up, it's going to tie up some funds to put towards something else. So, Casey or Trustee Grace, your question, are we comfortable with this? I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable enough with these numbers that I think the voters can make a decision. So I guess I'm just trying to lead us to a conversation of ultimately, I agree with you, Trustee Wing. I think we need to have a vote on this.
Yeah.
So I want to say I appreciate the detail on this, Trustee Grace. I think it says, I guess my ultimate response is yes, this will tie up funds and put it towards one particular thing that could be used for others. But I think I'm comfortable with these numbers and with staff and seeing what happened with the rec center that I feel good sending this to the public. But that's just where I stand.
If I may, Mayor Karspek, you're not making that decision tonight regardless. We just need to know the direction you want us to go in.
Right. I'm sorry. That's what I'm trying to manage. Which way
100%. I just think it's important. I think the questions that Trustee Grace raises are reasonable. I think we can answer a lot of those at your next meeting like we'd planned to. But in all cases, before you actually issue COPs or we close on bonds, you need to feel comfortable with that decision.
Thank you.
And I think the finances need to be explicitly clear to everybody. I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think we'll have any problem kind of walking you through that. And even if you chose to put this on the ballot, you're going to have to approve ballot language on the same night that we would be presenting the mid-year budget adjustment and all these financial projections that we told you we'd bring. So I think it'll all go together well from a timing standpoint. And if you chose to issue COPs, which I think is a perfectly reasonable path forward, again, you're going to have to approve a resolution authorizing us to do that, and we will not issue or close on those COPs until such time as everybody here is comfortable with the finances. So
excellent clarification.
All of that is fine, but none of that has to be decided tonight. We just need to know which direction you want us to head.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Trustee Anderson.
I do have a question of Administrator Kirk. Knowing that if we did issue bonds, if the public approved that, and knowing that bonds have to have a dedicated source of revenue, where would that come from? Would that come from would it come from one of the 1%?
It would.
And so the entire debt service would come from one of them?
I believe we could take it from both, but one of the benefits of COPs is that we can use any legally available revenues. So, let's say we nuke Iran and the world comes apart and our revenues decline precipitously. We do have other fund sources like the general fund and other parks and open space funds that we could pull from if we had to in order to make those COP payments. And so there is a little bit more flexibility. The COPs, again, would be set up with any legally available revenues where the sales tax revenue bonds would be pledged from those dedicated sales taxes only.
And hoping that we would have enough money in those if a catastrophe like you talked about happened.
And I think even in that case, we likely would, right? We have a lot of discretionary spending. So I think it's important to remember that what we've proposed to do and what we've looked at long-term in the budget is to continue spending money on things that we currently spend money on that are not a requirement. You have no obligation necessarily to go out and spend $350,000 a year annually on sidewalks. We choose to do that out of those funds because we have the money available and we have some priorities that we've been working steadily on over the last 5 years. But in the event of a financial collapse, you could choose not to replace sidewalk panels that have been there for 100 years and we could save that money for a year and help make up the difference. So, very few of these expenses are fixed in such a way outside of COP payments or bond debt. Very few of these expenses are fixed in such a way that you can't make adjustments in the event of major financial changes that maybe none of us could have foreseen. And the same is true with how we operate our rec facilities. We have while we do spend most of our recreation money out of the 2019 1% fund, the general fund has historically paid for recreation. What we pay for out of the 2019 1% fund is the recreation that's associated with the rec center. So outdoor rec still comes from the general fund, and we can move more recreation related expenses back into the general fund. That is totally reasonable and appropriate. That's where most agencies who aren't fortunate enough to have a 1% dedicated sales tax fund pay for recreation from. It comes out of the general fund. So again, there are ways to make financial adjustments and to leverage funds in the event of some hugely unforeseen financial collapse. All of that said, look, I think what the mayor articulated is absolutely correct. I think what Trustee Grace articulated and everybody has said, when you make a decision to finance a project, whether it's with COPs or bonds, you're making a financial commitment long term. And that means you're going to dedicate funding to pay for that project over the course of 30 years. And so obviously that comes with trade-offs, right? I've said it lots of times. I'll say it lots of times again. We're not broke. You just have to decide where you want to spend your money. And so if you choose to dedicate funding to these activities and to fund debt service, obviously that means that, $1.8 million is no longer available to spend on something else. You're making a priority choice because you believe this park checks enough boxes for the things that our community wants that it's worth the expense. And if you don't, then you don't make that choice.
So Trustee Grace, regardless of whether it's COP or a bond, the numbers would really look the same on your sheet, Rose. So you're not really advocating, or are you, one or the other? You're just saying there's a concern about the outlay for the project overall. Do I have that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Well, okay. Unless there's any other questions for staff, I think the way you have it lined up with, we could start with one vote, see how that goes, and then the next one.
I do want to make a comment.
Go ahead.
Just an argument for COP versus bond. Well, a couple. There's no backup plan. If this goes to the ballot and citizens vote it down because they are leery of government asking them for more things and everyone's voting no on everything, there's no backup plan to make this park a reality or to meet the criteria that the community has given us to meet with recreation. We will then have met everything around the key components that they've asked us for, but this will sit as a glaring missing gap, and we will be hamstringed from moving forward. This park project won't cost less if we reevaluate it again. We've already value engineered. We've already reduced the scope. It's never going to cost less. In fact, it costs $4 million more now today because we didn't build it last year. And so it's never going to cost less. It's only going to cost more. It won't happen if we put it to a vote, in my opinion. And that's, some people here don't want it to happen. And I think that's why they want it to go to vote. Some, not all, but I think that's saying it, to put it to vote is saying that we're okay with this failing and this project not happening at all.
Okay.
Because there's no backup. And that's my concern.
I've been surprised, and again, these are all. I've been surprised what Berthoud supported in the past, and for a small town like us, 2019, to support a 1% sales tax increase blew my mind. I think we are capable of voting yes on stuff. So I wouldn't say it's 100% no. But you're right; it's always an uphill battle, in Colorado, particularly with tax raising. So.
And really, didn't they vote? But these Fund 51 and Fund 52 to do this exact thing. So, kind of voted for it.
I think what they vote, in my opinion, they voted for anything within that 1%. I think that was a tax.
Yeah.
So I think now we're kind of asking for more than what we can pull out of that 1%. And this is just a matter of opinion. My personal thing, I don't know if there's a wrong answer to this. I see the point of moving forward. I just feel more comfortable having other people look at it. And you're right, we don't have a plan if this fails. I think the board at that time is going to have a decision. Do we go forward with this through a COP? Do we do nothing? Or do we do what we can through cash, which might be a pool at Wagner if that's still possible.
Exactly.
Um,
That's why there's a board. We'll vote, and if it doesn't go, it doesn't go.
so are we okay trying to vote first on the COP, see how that goes?
Yeah.
And second on the bond? Is that a fair to,
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start out with that.
I'll move to direct staff to proceed with the issuance of certificates of participation for the financing of the construction of Mountain Vista Park and continue preparing the necessary documents for the issuance and closing of the COPs.
Thank you, Trustee Wing. Is there a second?
I second.
Trustee Wing has moved. Trustee Olbert has seconded. Any amendments on this? Otherwise, clerk, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Sorcelli Albrecht,
Yes.
Trustee Wing,
Yes.
Trustee Murphy,
No.
Trustee Anderson,
No.
Trustee Albrecht,
Yes.
Trustee Grace,
No.
Mayor Karsbeck.
No.
Killed.
On a 3-4, that motion fails. We'll go to second here. Trustee Wing, would you like to, or whoever?
Now we're going to go to really just changing the wording to bond.
Yeah. Well, there's a specific wording here.
Oh, there is?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Next page, sorry.
I move to direct staff to proceed with the necessary steps to place a bond measure on the November 2026 ballot for the financing of the construction of Mountain Vista Park, including preparation of the required intergovernmental agreements with Larimer County, Weld County, and development of the necessary ballot language.
Is there a second?
Second.
Trustee Wing has moved. Trustee Grace has seconded. Is there any amendments to this? Otherwise, clerk, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Grace,
Yes.
Trustee Murphy,
Yes.
Trustee Wing,
Yes.
Trustee Albrecht,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sorcelli Albrecht,
No.
Trustee Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor Karsbeck.
Yes. Motion passes 6-1. Excellent. Well, we take a pause because that was a huge lift here, but
It is
we
dead on
something.
arrival.
Well done. Okay.
Thank you all
Congratulations,
for following
Sean.
along with my
Yeah,
numbers.
yeah.
I really appreciate the time to talk through
You
all
bet.
of that.
Visual aids are important. All right. Are we all right? Well, we already did 7. So let's move on now to reports. I will start off with, Trustee Olbrecht,
Nothing to report.
Trustee Wing.
Yeah, I have some notes and I'm not even going to look at them. All I would say is whatever our off-site meeting was, we talked about roles, kind of staying in your lane. I saw the word micromanage come up several times, and I would just, without citing a specific example, I would just say giving staff direction on how they handle people they interact with would be, in my terms, the definition of micromanaging. So I would just ask us all to reflect on that meeting and keep the terminology of micromanagement in your mind when you're saying things to staff.
Fair.
The second thing is I was at Sturgis this weekend, and I didn't Google it, but from past experiences there's somewhere in the neighborhood of 350,000 motorcycles that go to Sturgis, and it generates, I don't think it would be an exaggeration to say $100 million in revenue for that area. And again, it once comes back to just for us to consider, is there an event we could do here? Again, whatever that is, right? Something. We have a great 4th of July or 3rd of July, and some our parades are good. And again, you start something. Sturgis started with 100 bikes, right? And 100 years ago. And now what is it? It's no, people come from all over the country, all over the world. We met people from Scotland there with their Harley jackets on, and they're in Harley clubs. And I'm just saying, I think we just need to think of, is there something we want to put Berthoud on the map with and grow it over the decades? So food for thought.
Point taken. Very well. Yeah. Not Cornstalk now. We can be looking at it. No, I really appreciate it. I think it's my opinion, but that's a very wise idea.
And just, I guess, to add on that, Longmont is going to now do a second cruise night. And I'm just telling you that every restaurant there will be overflowing. It's amazing for the community what comes out. People, it's just the place is just alive and it's exciting. And I know we can do. The other thing is, do you know the population of like Deadwood which is right next to Sturgis, it's 1,100. And the town is just smoking alive and prospering and doing amazing and new growth. And anyhow, it can be done with a small town.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Trustee Anderson?
Yes. Last night we had a Historic Preservation Advisory Committee meeting. They talked a lot about the fall walking tour, mapped the route, like 5 stops and like 8 landmarks, mostly highlighting art and architecture. And they are looking at October 3rd, so they could coincide with Oktoberfest possibly. And they're going to do some partnership with the Historical Society in order to do the walk. It was pretty successful in the spring. I think everybody's pretty enthused to do it again. They have a little bit different focus this time. They did talk about the water tower sign and plaque that they want to put out there that talks about and what the history of the water tower, and that would talk about the history of the water tower. They have a grant application that's still being reviewed, and they hope to be able to get a grant to be able to do that.
I think that's amazing. I think, yeah, to have a plaque out there for that, especially that history and that letter that was donated by a person.
Yeah, I didn't have any idea. I didn't know that it wasn't even the land under it wasn't annexed until like 1995.
Oh, really? I know.
So we didn't. It wasn't annexed into Berthoud, but we had our water tower. Interesting. And then they talked about a few other things. They talked about some of their other goals for this next year and how they wanted to accomplish those. That's that committee. Just a reminder again about the library sale, which is this Saturday from 10 to 1. If you want to buy children's books, it's like a quarter for a children's book. Adult books are like $1. I usually go there and buy a lot of cookbooks that I never use but like to read through. And so it's a really good way to help support our library. And just wanted to mention, I know the Historical Society, I think, has their big gala at Grace Place on August 20th. Their fundraiser.
For Habitat?
No, it's for Historical Society.
Oh.
Okay.
This is on the 20th?
Yeah. The Chamber's next, what do they call that meeting they have? But anyway, Chamber's next after hours. That's it. Will be at the Berthoud Habitat for Humanity House. I'm trying to think of the date. August 27th. So it'll be at that house the last house that we're finishing on 4th Street.
Okay.
So folks wanted to attend that. And the I know I feel like I'm the current events human, but I love it.
There's like a news reporter here. This is great.
And then of course Habitat for Humanity's Hoedown will be October 10th at Grace Place.
October 27th. Okay. Thank you. Welcome. Trustee Murphy.
I've literally been off grid for the past 2 weeks in my report.
Well, welcome back.
Yeah.
Are you in Minnesota?
San Juan's.
Oh, very cool. Awesome. Beautiful. Trustee Grace.
Couple of updates. Wanted to thank Teresa and staff for National Night Out. It was a wonderful event. The weather cooperated and it was not hot and not scorching. We had a lot of folks come out. And so I just wanted to thank her and everyone who put it together and who worked that evening. With Port, there was one agenda item. There was the introduction of the America in Bloom. This was brought to us in a public comment in like March or April. And so we are moving forward. Staff is moving forward with America in Bloom, which I think is beautiful. And
excellent.
Yeah, Port's going to be involved, of course, with any recommendations there. Just as a heads up on, we're also coming up to some end of terms for the Port Committee in general, but we have had some resignations. I did for the one from Anna, and Clerk Zamora mentioned about Kelly. Michael confirmed he's not reapplying. His term is up. And Carrie is also not reapplying. So there's going to be 4 open positions.
Wow.
Is there any expressed reason why they're not staying?
Some of them, they just kind of cite personal general, but I have heard a handful of, it was the, attendance policy, which is one of the reasons I wanted to bring it up higher so that people could hear it.
Oh,
You know,
that's-
because I want to be able to
that's ironic.
promote, not, I mean, it's a concern, right? Because people, some people were resigning because they were going to be absent too many times, like 3 times.
Yeah.
And they said, you know, I don't think I can meet the attendance expectations, and that's why they're resigning. So it was really good timing for Clerk Morris to bring the new ordinance in. But that's been what I've heard so far.
Thank you.
Maybe if I could piggyback on that, Clerk Samora, would it be too much trouble to ask if you could send the new ordinance out to the committees?
No, not at all. We can go ahead and take care of that.
Thank you so much.
Certainly.
Great request. And then wanted to relay this recommendation that Michael had provided in the port meeting. This is verbatim, and he said, on significant projects, please get to a point where you can make a decision and stick to it. So I wanted to make sure I conveyed his words appropriately. And Eleanor brought up about how she was in Fairbanks, Alaska a while back, and they have a lot of passive museums. So things like steamships, Pullman cars, railroad cars, where they've set them up in areas where people can walk through them. Things are like, you know, bolted down or, you know, not easily vandalized. I know that's a concern, but it, you know, it has plaques and pictures and kind of the history of that area, and what those buildings were for. And so we're kind of, you know, tossing around the idea of, you know, I know we're talking about the Beat House in the Arboretum. Maybe that could become like a passive museum potentially, depending on what the requirements for that would be. She brought that up as something that could be an expansion in Berthoud at some point. Okay, that was it for port. Last thing I have, let's see, during CML, you know, they've got all the booths for everybody who wants to sell you all of their services, which is awesome. But I did talk with one group, ClearGov. They offer things like digital forecasting, you know, a budget book that's digital. And as we were talking in our strategic planning session about essentially having some sort of budget book to be able to review big asks, financial asks like this, and be able to see it very quickly and how it can change and where all the money, you know, is being allocated. They walked me through just a very quick demo of their system. And so I was wondering if there was any interest I can forward it to folks. I don't know if we want to, I don't know what the next step of that is. I, of course, did not commit Berthoud to anything.
Yeah, sure. No, I think that's fair.
But I just had a conversation with them of like, yeah, I'd like to see what
It's
it looks
happened
like.
with vendors before. Of how do we talk about this more?
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
talking about processes and could you forward the information to the board? And if
Yeah.
we feel that we can get it on the reports on the future agenda.
Perfect. Yes.
We did that with some Airbnb software.
Oh, wonderful. Perfect. That's all I got.
Excellent. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
No specific reports. I just wanted to touch though on the senior center concerns that are coming up. I think there's been maybe some confusion or some misstatements that the recreation projects are pulling from senior services. Those aren't connected whatsoever. And you know, I didn't want to bring it up during the Main Street as that was maybe a separate issue, but the town staff and myself met with the seniors who are gathering weekly and asked them what their needs are. And we really worked diligently to create that space within the Sunoco project. So everything that was going to go into that senior space in the project was crafted by that group. In fact, they liked the proximity to New Freedom. They liked that they were going to be able to use it without charge. They liked that it was a space that they could even have comments and revisions to maybe their coffee bar and things that would make it a useful space for them. So there has been a lot of thought and work with seniors, and I know that staff too, and we haven't pulled numbers or stats, but there is funding going towards seniors for travel, for trips, for recreation at the rec center. There is, since, you know, even in the last 2 years, a huge change in or services for seniors. And that includes the merger with Raft and Bats and talking about those needs on a regular basis. So it is disheartening that there's a commentary that the board isn't focused on that, because we have and we did, and someone sidelined that project that wasn't us. And so it is hard to restart something we didn't stall, and try to re-envision that in a way that it can be funded and create new funds, because it was already going to be incorporated in that structure without additional funding being needed. So I just want to say that on the record that that is a community that does have a lot of care and buy-in, and continued, we're going to have to continually find ways to meet those needs now that project has failed.
I have a question for you on that. What is the process to restart that conversation? What does that look like?
I know staff's working on lots of different ideas and processing that. There's, funding restraints, there's space restraints, cost restraints. So I think re-envisioning that from the beginning is probably a big
question. That's a great question. Terminology, is it administration that voters can't overturn? What's the term? What's the word?
Administrative?
Is that what it is?
Yeah, like they can't do an initiative or a referendum. Yeah, administrative.
So was Conoco, the Conoco building, was that administrative?
I don't think that the Sunoco building would be
Sunoco,
it wouldn't be a legislative act.
Mm-mm.
I mean, choosing to redevelop the Sunoco building that we own would not be a legislative act.
So that would be administrative.
Yeah.
So can they, or can the citizens override administrative? Something we might
That's
want to
really
consider,
interesting.
isn't it?
That wouldn't have happened. So if we knew what we knew now, there would have been no initiative.
Except that the lead partner pulled out because of the
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, they wouldn't have if there was no process for an initiative.
Oh, I see. If it couldn't.
Absolutely.
That's really interesting.
One of the items that's on the strategic plan that we'll be presenting to you next week during the study session is priority focus on redevelopment of town properties in downtown, including the Sunoco building. So if that's something that you support, I think there's an easy path forward for us.
Exactly.
I think we have some really good ideas at the staff level that would include space for seniors. Mayor Pro Tem Sorcelli Albrecht is right. We've met with the senior group that meets in town weekly. They're a formal organization that the town also partners with and helps support with funding that was approved by the town board. So she's right. There's some, when we talk about supporting seniors, there are a lot of different people who represent the seniors. But there is a formal organization, which is Berthoud Golden Links, who we have formally supported through an agreement. And we have worked with them and gotten their feedback on a potential senior center that could be located at the Sunoco building. So I think a lot of that will come in the next few weeks, depending on how the meeting next week goes.
Behavioral Health Policy Council for once was shorter than 2 hours. We just really went over the policy for the upcoming grant applications and how kind of some of the initial weeding out of some of these community applications. Anyone in Laramie County, any nonprofit that focuses on behavioral health can apply. Berthoud really hasn't significantly ever put one in because we don't have any behavioral health nonprofits to have a facility. Sunoco would have changed that. So we're kind of sum up that was a very brief thing. I wouldn't bring anything. I didn't have nothing to bring back to you guys because we don't have anyone from Berthoud being applying. So we'll just be looking at recommending the money that goes to all the other nonprofits and other communities. That's certainly part of the role, is that Berthoud residents have to be able to use too. So it has to be open to everyone. It just might not be in Berthoud. With the Metropolitan Planning Organization, majority of that was around an upcoming air quality convention that we're actually hosting for 4 states. We also went over some of our air quality and ozone attainment goals. As you guys know, we're in a terrible ozone area. Much of this isn't our fault. We're just kind of a low area where a lot of bad stuff accumulates on the Front Range, even if it's not from a lot of it's from oil and gas, but some of it's from out of state and even out of country. So other than that, the focus, a little bit update on rail, still not getting a stop. They're adding more stations north of Colorado Springs, and then now they've decided to open up a secondary kind of a one around the projected Bronco Stadium, that it can function as a station once games are going on. So other than that, I second Trustee Grace's fantastic job with National Night Out. Grows every year. Teresa and staff did an awesome job. And I want to add, walking through Fickle today, it's not just Fickle. I noticed this at Wagner too, but immaculate job on the turf there. You know, not that there's ever a bad job, but this one was like I could not see a single spot, so I'm just really proud. So.
The turf at Town Park is struggling, so Jeremy and I talked about that today. But everywhere else looks fantastic.
Well, I saw Fickle. Yeah, all right. Well,
our parks crew does an amazing job, including at
awesome.
Town Park.
It's just awesome. This isn't Berthoud. This is kind of it really is expertise. So thank you.
Yeah.
I'll turn it over to staff.
Just a couple quick things. Reminder about the study session next week. With the need to hold a special meeting prior to, is there anybody who cannot be here by 6 o'clock next Tuesday? It would give us just an extra 30 minutes to tackle that item.
If we can, we might just have to go down. Yeah.
If not, we can schedule it at 6:30, but it'd be great if we could do it at 6.
I agree. I think it would just might be better to be a man down or trustees down than have it later. And well, it doesn't.
We'll plan for 6 p.m. next Tuesday. If there is a conflict, please let us know. We are planning to get pizza, including gluten-free options for the meeting, because we always bring some pizza and snacks and other things for study sessions, so we'll take care of that as well. And we're looking forward to presenting some additional detail to the strategic plan that we talked about previously. I think there's some really exciting opportunities for us in the coming years. As was also mentioned previously, the 7-week Civic Academy that we've put together is open currently for applications. We're thinking we'll take 25 folks this first go round. That 7-week Civic Academy will take place on Thursdays. It'll be hosted by a different town department head each week, or a combination of department heads, really just with the goal of educating folks about what they do, going through some interactive exercises. They'll take some tours of facilities. I think it'll be a really exciting opportunity. We've already gotten a handful of applications. Information's out on social media, the website, went out in the newsletter that goes in the water bills. So hoping to see that fill up for our first go round. I think it's going to be a great program.
Thank you for that, because I am so excited to see that happen. I have been, like, at different meetings I'm at, telling people about it. So I hope we all really promote it, because I do think it's going to make a wonderful way to get people to really understand what the town does and make them enthusiastic about sitting on some of our committees.
Yeah, our hope is that we'll develop a strong group of ambassadors who they don't have to agree with everything that we do, but hopefully they'll be well informed about why we do it and how we do it, which would be great. And let's see. As you are all aware, there's been a lot of property issues up at the intersection of 287 and Berthoud Parkway, that northwest corner. McDonald's is closed. They've removed their signs and equipment. There are some ongoing issues.
They removed the McDonald's signs?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, McDonald's has been closed for quite a while.
I didn't know they took. I thought it was going to be.
But they did remove their signs. They removed their equipment.
Wow.
And I don't believe they intend to reopen. But we'll leave that decision up to them. But that's certainly the direction we've heard. There are ongoing issues with the ground there. Different design teams, different geotechnical engineers, different contractors, and yeah, a lot of the same kinds of issues. So, our town building staff, with support from lots of other agencies, have been monitoring that situation for many, many months, and have been communicating regularly with the property owners and the businesses there, all with the only goal of public safety and health. So that is our primary focus and responsibility, and I would not expect things to improve dramatically in the short term out there. And then we've had some emails recently about County Road 1. Obviously, there's been lots of community conversation about County Line Road being closed for much, much longer than was originally anticipated. As I think we've mentioned to you before, we issued a notice of default to the developer who's constructing that road and the roundabout there. Really, when we look back, I think the primary issues associated with why we are where we are, there were lots of utility relocations that are not performed by the town, or not utilities that are owned by the town, that we didn't get kind of a confirmation from the developer that they'd been adequately addressed. Some of those were things I don't know that they could have, and some of those were definitely things they probably could have. So we're continuing to work with them with the only goal of getting the roundabout and the County Line Road reopened this year. I think there's a path forward to do that still. But we're, as you know, we'll be taking whatever legal remedies we can if that doesn't occur. And we've been pursuing those for quite some time. So we have learned some hard lessons. We won't be issuing road closures in the future without the potential for significant penalties if those timelines are not met, as well as some additional boxes to check, primarily from, again, third-party utility companies that we historically have not had the need to or have checked because most of them, if not all of them, are included in the development review process. And so they're aware of the project. And there's always been an assumption that those utilities have been adequately coordinated. And in this case, I think we have some need to guarantee that those have been adequately coordinated in the future in a way that we did not previously. So that's a hard learning lesson for all of us. But
I think you've handled this as best as you can, Administrator Kirk. We've received some tough emails, and I think it's a learning. I don't want you to feel like any under individual pressure that that one email was directed that we need to conduct a thorough investigation on your performance on this, and we didn't know what we don't know.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I think I do very much appreciate that. I also feel like it's appropriate to bring that up in public. I think there's some ongoing accusations that the town has been evasive about all of it. There just isn't a lot to report other than the road isn't done. We're just as mad about it as everybody else, and we're taking all the legally available remedies that we have.
On the other side
yeah.
On the other, go back to the Taco Bell area. What you brought up to Mayor Pro Tem and I in our agenda planning was too, in that area going forward, there'll be some additional kind of measures looking at groundwork. Is that still the case? Is that what you meant?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, anytime we're aware of unique site conditions, we pass those on to prospective developers of properties in the neighboring area, and then we also do additional review to ensure that those concerns have at least been adequately analyzed and addressed. So, without going into a whole lot of detail, I think we do have the ability to at least hopefully attempt to capture some of those issues in the future. Although, again, I'm not sure that we understand exactly what's happening out there.
And say McDonald's does pull a demolition permit and all that area. What is the requirement to take it back to a native state, and did that seed it, or
our expectation at the staff level is that it would be taken back to a native state and reseeded.
Okay.
Although, but that has yet to be determined, of course. But that would certainly be our position.
Wonder what it would look like.
And we've discussed that.
And they would likely. Okay, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Okay, thank you.
Are you done?
I am done.
I have a couple questions for you.
Sure.
What are our sunken costs in MVP right now?
Roughly 4.3 million, I think.
Right now, sunken costs in it are 4.3 million.
In the original master planning, design efforts, all the.
So if the residents vote down this, we just threw $4 million away. Just put it in perspective. Yeah.
In fairness, and while I agree with that that sentiment,
cool.
The plans are still good, and you can always bring it back a year later and ask the voters again. And so
there's no way
those plans are not dead,
it's
but
dead.
they will be shelved.
It's dead. And then we now at the Metro District in Huron Lakes have standing room only when we have the meetings. And one of many things is the gates, and they're hearing so many different stories about the gates. Could you have someone just put together a one-pager on the status of the gates? I think that would go so far for the residents because they're being told so many different things. So that would go a long way for those citizens. And then the second thing is, does the town have any influence or legal ramifications? It's been 6 years since the entryway has been landscaped. Is there any requirement, or is there not, that they have to landscape the entryway?
What size is this? This is
It's the main gate.
Gate. Okay, thank you.
6-7 years, no landscaping. Some of the residents say it looks like the neighborhood is bankrupt.
I think the original intent was that landscaping would be performed when the development was done on the north side of Grand Market, which has not occurred. But I don't believe that was a requirement of their development.
So it could be years and years and years. Technically, they don't have to develop.
I believe that's true.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else from staff?
Nope.
All right. Anything from our council? We'll be going into executive session, but anything? Okay. Chief, anything right now? Okay, thank you. At this time, would any trustee like to move us into an executive session?
So moved.
Well, I think there's some specific wording
Oh,
here.
that's right, we have that word.
And-
Long one.
$4
Oh, there it is.
million.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I move to go into
$4
executive
million.
session to hold a conference with the town's attorney to receive legal advice on specific legal questions pursuant to CRS section 24-6-402 for B concerning the Revere development.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Trustee Anderson has moved on the executive session. Trustee Grace is seconded. Clerk, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Murphy,
Yes.
Trustee Ulbricht,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sorcelli Ulbricht,
Yes.
Trustee Wing,
Yes.
Trustee Anderson,
Yes.
Trustee Grace,
Yes.
Mayor Karsbeck.
Yes. All right.
Does that also imply we're hitting that 9:30 and we have to do the vote to continue?
Yep, let's do that real quick. All right, we're going to executive. Just want to make a motion.
Make a motion to continue past 9:30.
Guess to end conclusion.
Second.
Okay. The motion been seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
And just to clarify, you will not be returning, correct?
Correct. Is that yes? Thank you. Unless you say otherwise, you're the boss.
No, we're not doing that.
All right.